I was sitting on a horse in the middle of nowhere, staring at a swamp. A swamp. This was supposed to be the grand entrance to my new kingdom. Very glamorous, I know. Let me back up. I hired 3 bodyguards to escort me to my land. Simple job, right? Get the purple-haired pretty boy to his property alive. But no. The bald guy pulls out a sword and goes, "Hey, how about you give me your land deed too? Or I'll stab you in the heart." Real charming fellow. I did what any reasonable person would do. I tried talking my way out. "I'm a noble. There are laws. You'll be hanged," I yelled, very bravely. They laughed. Then I switched tactics. Okay, let's forget this ever happened. You guys go home. I won't tell anyone. Pinky promise." They laughed harder. Scarface started powering up some warrior move and mocking my land, calling it a place where even birds won't poop. Rude, but honestly, fair. That's when I shot him in the face. Yeah, I had a steam-powered pistol hidden in my fancy robe this whole time. And before Baldy could even finish screaming, "How do you have that?" I whipped out my second gun and dropped both remaining guys like it was an action movie. I'm a plan ahead kind of guy. 2 guns. Always 2 guns. Now here's where it gets fun. 3 dead bodies on the ground. Did I feel bad? A little. Did I feel worse when all 3 horses ran away? Absolutely. Those horses were worth more than my entire net worth. But then I checked the dead guys' wallets, and hey, things were looking up again. Okay, so who am I really? I'm what you'd call a transmigrator. In my old life, I had a garbage heart that was basically a ticking time bomb. Doctors said I wouldn't hit 20. So I spent my whole short life grinding a video game called Shadow of the Golden Tree, a lore-building strategy game with like 50 storylines. I beat every single one. Got the ultimate reward, the Golden Tree itself. Then I died in my sleep and woke up inside a dead rich kid's body in what turned out to be the actual game world. Plot twist, my new body. Perfectly healthy. No heart problems. The universe basically said, "Sorry about the first life, here's a do-over, good luck." But I'm not even in the timeline I played through. I'm in the prequel era, the one the game only mentioned in like 2 paragraphs of lore text. There's an immortal emperor running a holy empire. Kingdoms are expanding everywhere, and dark fog is slowly eating the continent. Normal Tuesday stuff. As for my noble family, the Lewises, small-time aristocrats, I'm not even the heir. I've got older brothers and sisters hogging that spot. So I sold everything I owned, rode to the border of the kingdom, and bought the cheapest piece of land available. It's technically not even connected to the kingdom. It's a flying territory, which sounds cool, but actually means land nobody else wanted. Why didn't I buy land inside the kingdom? Because I'm broke, that's why. Land inside costs like 50 times more. Out here in Monster and War territory, bargain bin prices. My budget was basically whatever's left after lunch. And why leave my cozy noble life at all? Because in my first life, I never got to see the world. I was stuck in a bed, stuck in a room, stuck in a game. Now I'm inside the game, walking around with working legs and a beating heart. And you think I'm going to sit in some mansion sipping tea? No way. I came here to build something. To be someone. To live like every moment matters. Because I already know what it's like when they run out. Yeah, I'm right, Lewis. I've got 2 empty pistols, 0 horses, a swamp between me and my kingdom, and 3 fresh corpses behind me. Let's do this. It took me almost an hour to get around that stupid swamp, dragging 3 dead guys on horseback like the world's worst delivery service. But I made it. I was finally standing on MY land. First order of business? Zombies. Well, skeletons technically. I chanted some creepy forbidden spell over the 3 corpses. With blood as sacrifice, with flesh as bridge, rise, you dead losers, and watch their bodies melt into black goo while the bones climbed out and stood up. 3 glowing-eyed skeleton soldiers, reporting for duty. Yeah, I know necromancy. The original owner of this body was terrified of dying from his heart condition, so he collected illegal dark magic on the side. In this world, messing with the dead is basically the worst crime imaginable. Every church wants to burn you alive for it. But here's the thing, I played the game. I know that dead people's souls don't go to any god's kingdom. They just dissolve into nothing. So really, I'm recycling. I'm environmentally friendly. Guard me, I commanded, and my 3 bony boys grabbed their old weapons and formed a triangle around me like the world's scariest honor guard. Once I was sure nothing was sneaking up on me, I pulled out a leather case from my backpack. Inside was the royal land deed, a glowing golden document created by the creator god himself. Whoever signs one of these literally owns the land. The soil gets richer, the mines refill themselves after a few years. It's magical real estate at its finest. My plot: 30 square kilometers. Not bad for a broke teenager. I cut my finger with a silver dagger, signed my name in blood, Wright Lewis, and named my territory Golden Domain. The deed exploded into golden sparkles and sank into the earth. I could feel it, a connection, like the land was now part of my soul. I let out a deep breath. I finally had a home. Then one of my skeletons got smashed to pieces. 7 lizard men came charging out of the swamp. Gray scales, stone axes, murder in their eyes. Swamp locals, apparently, and they were not happy about the new neighbor. Human. Food. Eat him, one screamed in broken common tongue. A stone axe came flying at my face. I dodged, barely, and sent my 2 remaining skeletons to fight. But let's be real. Skeletons versus lizard men is like sending tutorial enemies against a mini-boss. They were just buying me time. I shot one lizard man in the chest. The bullet punched through his scales, but didn't go deep enough. All it did was make him angrier. Great. No more holding back. Time to use the big gift. Grow, golden tree. My soul shook. A tiny golden branch appeared out of thin air, stabbed its roots into the ground, and in seconds shot up to over 2 meters tall. Golden leaves danced in the wind, and hanging from a golden branch was a single golden fruit. Just like in the game. The golden tree gives you 1 fruit as a starter bonus when you first plant it. I checked the fruit's power and nearly cried with relief. It was a contract-type fruit called the seed green frog fruit. Eating it, or in my case, just activating it as the tree's owner, lets you summon a green frog with a giant seed on its back. Cute little guy. Looked exactly like a certain pocket monster from my old life. Yes, this game shamelessly stole from everything. Go, seed green frog. Use razor leaf. I actually said that out loud. No regrets. The frog's seed split open and unleashed a storm of razor-sharp leaves that shredded through the lizard men like paper. 3 of them dropped dead instantly, scales ripped apart. No contest. Way more powerful than my pistols. The remaining 4 hesitated. Should they keep fighting or run? I couldn't let them retreat. The frog was draining my stamina every second it existed, and I was already running on fumes. I needed to end this now. So I did the only logical thing. I provoked them. Run away, go ahead. Lead me back to your camp. I want to meet your lizard wives. I love lizard ladies, if you know what I mean. Look, I'm not proud of it. But lizard men are apparently extremely loyal romantic partners, one mate for life. And the moment they heard me being a creep about their wives, every single one of them lost their minds and charged straight at me. Perfect. My skeletons held one down, my pistol kept another busy, and my frog went absolutely berserk with leaf blades. 1 minute later, all 4 were dead. I collapsed on the ground. The frog croaked, ribbit, sadly and disappeared as my stamina hit 0. I was about to celebrate my victory when I realized something horrible. Wait, where's my horse? The horse had bolted during the fight. Scared off by the lizard men. Gone. Just like the other 3 from earlier. I sat there staring at 2 skeletons staring back at me, surrounded by 7 dead lizard men, completely alone in my brand new kingdom. Not a single living companion in sight. And before you ask, no, I can't just hire help. The king of Drayton abolished slavery, which is morally great and personally terrible for me. Nobody wants to work for a lord whose territory is outside the kingdom's borders, with 0 safety guarantees and a salary of, I promise I'll pay you eventually. Turns out, trust me bro, isn't a competitive benefits package. So here I am, Lord of Golden Domain. Population, 1 human, 2 skeletons, and 0 horses. Living the dream. 9 skeletons chopping wood. That's what my kingdom looked like on day 1. 9 bony boys swinging axes with 0 complaints, 0 lunch breaks, and 0 paychecks. Say what you want about undead labor. The benefits package is unbeatable. By tonight, we should have a small room built, I told myself, feeling like a real estate mogul who lives in a dumpster. While my skeleton crew handled construction, I checked my player stats. Oh yeah, I have a video game menu. It's one of the perks of being a transmigrator. My stats were, let's say, humble, strength, 5. I'm basically a noodle with legs. Constitution, 9. Agility, 8. Magic, 8. Fighting spirit, 0. 0. Not even a participation trophy. My rank. Black Iron Upper. Sounds cool until you learn the ranking system goes Black Iron, Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, Legend, and then literal godhood. I'm at the bottom of the bottom, just slightly less bottom than before I planted the golden tree. The tree needs magic crystals to grow. Magic crystals come from the hearts of supernatural beings after they die. But Black Iron creatures don't even produce crystals. You need bronze level minimum. So my 7 dead lizard men? Absolutely worthless. Couldn't even drop good loot. Classic early game garbage. I spent the afternoon surveying my glorious domain on foot. Here's the property report. 1/3. Swamp full of angry lizard men who want to eat me. 1/3. Forest full of giant footprints that, according to my adventurer's handbook, belong to ogres. The last third. Hills covered in wild grass and regular animals. Okay, just lizard men and ogres. No big deal, I said, lying to myself. Then I remembered something. That merchant who sold me this land promised there were farmers living here. Refugees hiding from war, he said. Ready to help build, he said. I searched every corner of my territory and found exactly 0 humans. Not even a footprint. Not a campfire. Nothing. I got scammed. That slimy merchant looked me in the eyes and sold me empty dirt with a smile. My teeth hurt just thinking about it. But fine. No humans? No problem. The royal land deed has some tricks up its sleeve. First, I can teleport anywhere within my territory, which is why lords are nearly impossible to kill on their own land. Second, I can banish intelligent creatures, cursing them with terrible luck as long as they're on my soil. At my current level, I can only banish 3 lizard men at a time, so that's not exactly a nuclear option. And third, the land regenerates its own resources. Mines refill. Soil stays fertile. The ultimate sustainability plan. Now, while I was sitting in my sad little wooden shack thinking about strategy, the lizard men were having a warm meeting. Their chief, a big scarred-up reptile in animal furs, had apparently heard about me killing 7 of his boys. The scar on his chest? From a human, by the way. He once tried to eat some guy's kid, and the dad beat him half to death. His takeaway from that experience wasn't, maybe don't eat people's children. It was, humans are evil. His one-eyed lieutenant confirmed that I'd used a royal land deed, which is a very big deal. Since the beginning of time, land deeds carry absolute authority. Even dragons and gods respect them. But the chief wasn't about to bow down. This swamp was his home. His people were starving, freezing, dying every winter, but it was their swamp, and no fancy human with a glowing piece of paper was going to change that. Plus, if he got the deed, he could become the first lizard man king in history. And he could marry a second wife. You know, priorities. We will not let a human rule us, he roared. Lizard men are never slaves. This swamp belongs to us. Kill him and take the deed. The whole tribe went nuts. 50 warriors suited up, stone axes, leather armor, bloodlust. 10 of them were even supernatural ranked. And the chief himself was bronze lower, which meant he could snap me like a breadstick. They surrounded my little wooden hut in the dead of night. Silent as shadows. Perfect formation. The chief gave the signal. 50 lizard men charged and screaming, smashing through walls, swinging axes, ready to tear me apart, and found an empty room. Where's the human? Where's my food? The chief stared at the demolished shack. No blood. No body. No right, Lewis. Did he run away? One lizard man mumbled. Impossible, the chief snapped. A lord can't abandon his land. He must be hiding somewhere. Find him. Kill him. Take the deed. Yeah, about that. I absolutely ran away. Look, I assessed the situation like a rational adult. 1 man, 9 skeletons, no horse, surrounded by lizard men and ogres, 0 workers, 0 supplies, 0 chance of building anything meaningful alone. The math wasn't mathing. So I made my skeletons build a cart out of wood planks and vines. Then 4 of them got underneath and carried it like living wheels. A skeleton-powered vehicle. The right Lewis Mobile. I buried the remaining skeletons in the ground like landmines, preserved and waiting for my glorious return, hopped in my bone mobile, and rolled out toward the Drayton Kingdom border. Was it dignified? No. Was it a lord's proudest moment? Absolutely not. Was I alive and heading somewhere with actual people and food? You bet. Every great king knows when to fight, and when to sit in a box carried by skeletons and leave really, really fast. I'll be back, Golden Domain. Your lord just needs to go shopping first. 9 days. 9 days riding in a box carried by 4 skeletons. My back hurt in places I didn't know existed. But when I finally saw the black walls of Blackstone Fortress, I nearly cried tears of joy. Civilization. People. Food that isn't dried jerky. Blackstone Fortress is basically the ultimate border town. Massive military presence, strict rules, and nobody dares cause trouble here. The neighboring Beast Alliance keeps attacking, so this place is locked down tighter than a dragon's piggy bank. But I wasn't here to sightsee. I was here to get rich. See, I still had the seed green frog fruit. Not the power, I already used that. The actual fruit itself. As the Golden Tree's owner, I can use any fruit's ability without eating it, which means I can sell the fruit to someone else. And if they ever turn on me, I can shut off their power like flipping a light switch. It's the ultimate insurance policy. First things first, I cleaned up, put on my fanciest noble robes from my player inventory, and walked into the most reputable trading house in town, the Iris Flower Trading Company. Time to become a businessman. They sat me down in a fancy reception room with coffee. And let me tell you, after 9 days of skeleton taxi and swamp water, that coffee tasted like liquid heaven. I sipped it slowly, said something pretentious about waltz of flavors and caramel undertones, and generally acted like I drink expensive coffee every day instead of, rain puddles. The old appraiser across from me was examining the golden fruit through a special monocle, a magical identification tool. His eyes got wider and wider. By the Emperor above, this is incredible. Eat this, and you gain the power to summon a magical creature. He practically drooled on it. Where did you get this? He asked, then immediately panicked. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry. I waved my hand casually. My family found it in the Darksea Forest. You're welcome to go look for more. The Darksea Forest is a forbidden zone filled with monsters that eat adventurers for breakfast. Nobody's going there. But the old man didn't know I was bluffing. He just looked at me with even more respect, probably thinking my family were some kind of legendary warriors. Here's the thing about me. I look like peak nobility. Purple hair, red eyes, deep mysterious gaze. In this world, those features scream ancient bloodline. In reality, my parents barely have a hint of purple in their hair. I'm just a genetic lottery winner. The whole family looks like commoners except me, standing there looking like a prince from a painting. Works great for negotiations, though. If you put this up for auction, the old man said, it could fetch an extraordinary price. But the auction is 2 months away. 2 months? I couldn't afford tonight's hotel room. However, he continued, if you'd like an immediate sale, the trading house can offer 3.5 million nars. On the outside, I did a little snobbish scoff. On the inside, my brain was doing backflips. 3.5 million? That's more money than my entire territory is worth. I've never even imagined that number. I leaned back on the couch, pretending to think it over like a man who deals in millions every Tuesday. Well, I suppose I don't have time to waste here. 3.5 million will do. Will do? Like it was pocket change. I deserve an acting award. One condition, though, when you eventually auction this fruit, don't mention my name. It was a coming-of-age gift from my family elders. Very private. Translation, please don't let anyone trace this back to me, because I'm actually a broke nobody from a tiny village, and this whole aristocrat act would crumble. In 5 seconds, they agreed. We signed a contract on special paper from the Church of Fairness and Law. It literally catches fire if you write a fake name. My signature held. Money transferred. Done deal. I walked straight to the bank and withdrew 2 million nars in cash. Now, time to hire workers. I went to the labor market, which was packed with workers and employers shouting at each other. First stop, the office of that slimy merchant who sold me the land deed and promised my territory had farmers living on it. The office was completely empty, cleaned out. He'd already fled town. You sneaky little, I muttered through my teeth. Apparently, when his hired mercenaries never came back, he figured out I wasn't dead and decided to disappear. Smart move, I'll give him that. Lucky for him. Anyway, hiring turned out to be a nightmare. It was almost autumn. The Beast Alliance was ramping up attacks. Border lords were getting killed left and right, and everyone was terrified. Workers with actual skills? Your territory is where? Outside the kingdom? No thanks, I choose life. Workers without skills? Sure, I'll go. That'll be an absolutely insane amount of money, please. Obviously just trying to grab cash with zero intention of actually working. Days passed. Nobody. I had 2 million nars burning a hole in my pocket and not a single hire. Then it hit me. The law says humans can enslave other humans. King abolished slavery, very progressive, love that for him. But nobody said anything about non-humans. I looked up at the sign I'd been walking past every day. The slave market. Time to go shopping for employees who can't say no. The slave market was right next to the military barracks, owned by some big shot count named Chapman Cook, who basically runs the entire fortress. Armed soldiers everywhere, zero escape attempts ever. This guy has a monopoly on the whole operation, which means one thing. Everything is stupidly expensive. I walked in and immediately got Zootopia flashbacks, except instead of cute cartoon animals, these were actual beast people locked in cages. Way less adorable. Way more teeth. A greasy little manager came sliding up to me, rubbing his hands together like a cartoon villain. "Noble sir, what kind of slave would you like? We just got a fresh batch of Minotaur warriors. I am a man of culture and purity. Moving on. I need laborers," I said, keeping it professional. "And skilled craftsmen. Woodworking, detailed handwork, that sort of thing. Any race is fine." His eyes lit up like I'd just told him it was Christmas. For labor, I recommend great goblins. They're the upgraded version of regular goblins. Eat very little, work a lot. Only 20,000 nars each. 20,000. For one goblin. That's robbery in broad daylight. But when you're the only shop in town, you set the prices. For skilled work, how about rabbit folk? They're excellent with their hands. Only 10,000 nars each. Now, let me explain something important about rabbit folk in this era. Right now, they're full-on furry. Like, actual rabbit bodies walking upright. Very fluffy. Very animal. But in the next era of the game's timeline, something happened. Apparently enough humans found furries attractive that they started, mingling with the rabbit folk. Result? Future rabbit people evolved into cute girls with bunny ears and bunny tails. The pure furry rabbit folk went nearly extinct. Furry fans literally destroyed furries through excessive love. Same thing happened to the cat people and the dog people. Meanwhile, goblins, minotaurs, and pig folk, the ones nobody wanted to date, stayed exactly the same across every era. Ugly is the ultimate survival strategy. Anyway, I did some quick math. Hiring a regular worker costs 2,000 nars per month. Buying a slave is a one-time cost. Long-term, slaves win every time. Sorry, ethics. Daddy's got a kingdom to build. I'll take 10 great goblins and 20 rabbit folk, I said, like I was ordering takeout. Also, do you have anyone who could serve as a butler? A household manager? The manager scratched his head. Butlers usually come attached to noble families. You don't just find them lying around. No rush, I told him. I'll come back tomorrow. Have my slaves ready, and hopefully some good news about the butler. Next I hit the blacksmith and ordered a mountain of tools. Axes, saws, farming equipment, the works. Then the grain market for bulk food and seeds. By the end of the day, I'd spent money like a man who'd never been poor, which was hilarious because 2 weeks ago, I was literally penniless. The next morning, I walked back into the slave market and got a surprise. Standing next to the manager was a woman in a perfectly pressed butler uniform. Golden hair in a tight ponytail. Face like an ice sculpture. Not a single wrinkle on her black suit. She looked like she could organize a royal banquet and judge you for breathing wrong at the same time. Her name was Holly Lowell. The manager told me her story. She was originally a noble's daughter, but her family went broke. She became a butler for another noble family and eventually married their youngest son. Things were finally looking up, until a cult of evil god worshippers caused a disaster that wiped out the entire family. Holly and her 6-year-old daughter Ellie happened to be out that day. Lucky enough to survive, unlucky enough to lose everything. The family's assets all went to pay debts and bank fees. Nobody would hire her after that. Nobles thought she was cursed. Commoners avoided her. Evil god cultists. I knew those guys from the game. Absolute nightmare enemies. Total psychopaths. Before shaking her hand, I secretly used my player appraisal on her. Had to make sure she wasn't secretly corrupted by an evil god. If she was, her job title would show, Evil God Follower. Her stats popped up. No supernatural powers whatsoever. Strength 0.7. Agility 0.5. Constitution 2. She was basically a regular human woman. But her job field was clean, no evil god contamination. Good enough for me. Nice to meet you, MS. Holly, I smiled. Fair warning, my territory is very remote. Are you sure about this? She shook my hand firmly. I'm sure. 7,000 nars per month, room and board included. I have only one condition. If danger comes, please protect my daughter. I agreed without hesitation. For her trial task, I asked her to handle all the logistics for our trip, buy horses, hire mercenaries for the journey, stock up on supplies. If she did well, she was hired. If not, I'd still pay her for the effort. She took the money and marched off like a general heading to war. I liked her already. Meanwhile, the manager led me to a circular arena to inspect my new workforce. Down below, 10 massive great goblins stood on the left, big green muscular brutes. On the right, 20 rabbit folk trembled nervously, their long ears twitching with anxiety. I scanned them one by one, and wait. One of the great goblins was a black iron mid-rank supernatural being. An actual powered-up goblin. That's rare. In this world, non-magical races need to drink special potions or consume supernatural materials just to awaken their power circuits. It's not something that happens by accident. Kind of like me, actually. The original Wright Lewis drank a potion made from windhowl grass to open his magic circuits. Of course, the only spells I actually learned were skeleton summoning, illegal, can't tell anyone, illumination, flashlight spell, cleaning, magic broom, and plant growth acceleration, slightly faster gardening. That's right. I, Wright Lewis, Lord of Golden Domain, owner of the legendary Golden Tree, transmigrator from another world, that don't have a single attack spell. Not one. My combat strategy is literally shoot them with a gun and hope for the best. What a hero. The manager noticed me staring at the powered-up goblin and immediately started his sales pitch. Great eye, sir. That one was a squad leader in the Beast Alliance army. Captured in battle. Fully trained. Won't cause any trouble. He explained the double security system. Slave collars that partially control behavior, plus binding runes that completely lock down movement in emergencies. Oh, and fun fact, the slave collars have a built-in moral compass. If someone tries to force a slave into, let's call it, unwanted wrestling without clothes, the collar automatically releases. The Church of Life made sure of that. Which raises an interesting question. If the binding runes still freeze the slave's body, what's the point of the collar releasing? I thought about that for way too long. Then I shook my head and said, done. Let's sign. Contract complete. 30 slaves, mine. But I didn't take them right away. I had shopping to do first. See, I remembered thousands of potion recipes from the game. After I realized this world was the same universe, I spent a whole year writing down every recipe I could recall. Problem is, game recipes were shown as cartoon pictures. Very abstract. Very unhelpful when you're looking at real ingredients on a shelf. Plus, different era means different names for things. My appraisal skill shows the modern names, but matching those to my game era memory is like doing a jigsaw puzzle blindfolded. Still, I grabbed everything I recognized. Electric mouse tails, poison thorn rose petals, soul-eating grass juice, toxic moth wings, green beetle silk, and a full set of alchemy tools. What I really wanted was magic crystals. The energy stones that form in supernatural beings' hearts after death. My golden tree needs those to grow, but magic crystals are banned from public markets. Every civilization agreed on that one. The Chaos Era was basically a worldwide war fought over crystal harvesting, so everyone collectively decided, let's not do that again. Of course, there's always a black market. After some sneaking around through shady merchants, I scored a few crystals. Not many, but enough. Back at the hotel, Holly showed up with her report. She handed me a supply list, and I nearly dropped it. This woman was efficient. 5 mercenary escorts. A bunch of strong pack horses. 3 months of food. Seeds for different crops. Tools I forgot to buy. Clothes. Blankets. Everything. I forgot blankets. She remembered blankets. I was already living better with a butler. Well done, Miss Holly. You're officially my butler. She let out a breath she'd probably been holding for 12 hours. Thank you for your trust, my lord. Don't call me my lord. Call me Lord Wright or Master Wright. Yes, Master Wright. I found out later that she and her daughter had been sleeping in a horse stable. Their money was almost gone. If I hadn't hired her, She didn't even know what would have happened next. She was just a mom trying to give her kid a roof. That hit me somewhere deep. But I kept my cool, noble face on. 6 a.m. Fortress gates. Holly was already there with her 6-year-old daughter, standing perfectly straight like she'd been waiting since midnight. The slave market manager stood nearby with my 30 slaves, all bunched together. 5 mercenaries in full armor waited on the side. I scanned the mercs with appraisal, all neutral, all hovering around black iron level. Makes sense. Leveling up in real life requires expensive potions. Most people spend their whole careers saving up for one rank upgrade. Reality doesn't hand out experience points. I looked at my slaves. They stared back with zero trust in their eyes. Fair enough. I'd be suspicious too. Then I looked at Holly, standing rigid and professional, and the tiny golden-haired girl hiding behind her leg, peeking at me with huge eyes. She looked about 70% like her mom. Same face, same hair, same, I'm cautiously evaluating you, expression. Absolutely adorable. Good thing I am not into little kids. Moving on. I cleared my throat and used my best, inspiring leader, voice. Let's go. Back to Golden Domain. I won't lie, it's not exactly a paradise right now. Not many people, not much infrastructure. But I believe that one day, you'll all be proud to call yourselves citizens of Golden Domain. Pretty good speech, right? I practiced it in the mirror last night. And off we went. Meanwhile, back at my territory, the lizard men were having a very bad time. Their chief had been searching for me nonstop since the night raid. They tore apart my destroyed shack. They searched the hills. They combed every inch of the territory, except the forest, because ogres. Chief, you think the human went into the forest? The chief considered this. According to ancient lizardman knowledge, a land deed holder can't leave their territory for more than 20 days or they get cursed with terrible luck. So he was absolutely certain I was still hiding somewhere on the land. What he didn't know is that my golden tree is so linked to me. As long as it's rooted in my territory, the land thinks I'm still home. I'm basically using a metaphysical VPN. My land deed, the chief roared, fully obsessed at this point. That sneaky human, that evil necromancer. He's in the forest. Let's go. The other lizard men looked at each other nervously. The forest had ogres. The chief pulled out his motivational speech card. Only with the land deed can we truly own this land. The rivers will fill with fish. Our children will never starve. We are lizardmen, descendants of the holy dragon. Are we going to be scared of some stupid ogres? For rivers full of fish. For the next generation, YHHHH, long live the chief. And 50 hyped-up lizard men charged straight into the forest. Deep in that same forest, an ogre sleeping in a tree hollow sneezed, scratched its back with a deer bone, and rolled over. In its dream, a bunch of lizard men were lining up to become its lunch. Day 5 on the road. Sun going down. I picked a nice open spot with good visibility and told Holly to set up camp. Having a butler is the greatest cheat code in life. Holly handled everything. Tents, food, schedules, supply management, while I sat on my butt and meditated. Very productive butt-sitting, though. I was training my magic circuits. Here's the depressing truth about my talent. The original Wright Lewis started at Black Iron Lower, spent years meditating, and only crawled up to Black Iron Mid. Without the golden tree boosting me to Black Iron Upper, I'd basically be stuck at the kiddie table of supernatural power forever. Meditation? Forget meditation. My future power-ups are coming from the tree or not at all. That night was actually really nice. Stars everywhere, campfire crackling, and the mercenaries turned out to be incredible storytellers. I learned so many things about this world that the game never mentioned. Flying frogs made in the rain. Slimes can be cooked into a delicious meal if you heat them right with some herbs. Baba sheep are the favorite pets of broke adventurers. And apparently some neighboring kingdom has a witch who's been fighting goblins for 300 years straight. I was sitting there thinking, wow, I'm really living in this world, when the temperature dropped like someone opened a freezer door. The moon went blurry. White fog rolled in from every direction. I jumped to my feet and screamed for everyone to wake up. Because I knew exactly what this was. History fragments. When the evil gods invade the world, they accidentally tear open pockets of the past. You get sucked into a recreation of a historical event, and the only way out is to resolve whatever happened. In the game, we called these dungeons. I thought we had more time before the Dark Era officially kicked off. Apparently, the evil gods didn't check my schedule. What I didn't know yet was that this wasn't just happening to us. The entire continent of Airland got hit with white fog at the same time. Tonight, the world was changing forever. Holly ran over clutching little Ellie, who was somehow still asleep. That kid could nap through the apocalypse. Master Right. What's happening? I looked at her terrified face, looked at her unconscious daughter, and smiled as calmly as I could. Relax. I'm your lord. I'll protect you. I sounded way more confident than I felt. Everyone, gear up. I had the whole group rally together. Even the goblin and rabbit folk slaves got weapons. Axes, hoes, sticks, whatever we had. When the fog swallowed us completely, the world dissolved and reformed around us. We were standing in a ruined castle hall. A voice echoed in everyone's heads. Level 2 world. Chaos era. Year 1775. The vampire Cecilia Ferdinand, seeking revenge, killed the nobleman Nathaniel who betrayed her and transformed his people into flesh-eating mutant monsters. A thief accidentally entered this castle and was killed. Everyone looked confused and scared, but I was practically vibrating. It's the Forest Castle dungeon. I recognized it immediately. I'd farmed this dungeon dozens of times in the game for crafting materials. I knew every corridor, every monster spawn point, every shortcut. The bad news. Level 2 world means you normally need silver rank power to clear it properly. The weakest monsters here are black iron, and there are bronze rank mutants roaming around. We were hilariously outmatched. The good news, you can clear this dungeon just by leaving the castle. No fighting required. You only get basic experience as a reward, but who cares? I had 30 slaves, 5 mercenaries, a butler, a sleeping child, and 0 desire to be a hero. Master Right. Where are we? Holly asked. She looked less scared now, probably because I was standing there grinning like an idiot instead of panicking. I put on my serious leader voice. Everyone, listen carefully. I've read about this place in ancient texts. Total lie. I read about it on a wiki page. We've been pulled into something called a history fragment. All we have to do is walk out, and we're safe. Worried faces stared back at me. I swear on the name of the Lewis family, I will get us out. But you must follow my orders without question. Nobody argued. Good. First rule, no talking. The monsters in here hunt by sound. Starting right now, silence. Second, drop anything that makes noise. Weapons, armor, metal tools, all of it. On the ground. Now. The mercenaries didn't hesitate. Armor off. Weapons down. The slaves followed. Holly winced watching expensive equipment hit the floor, but one look at my face, and she kept quiet. In this moment, I wasn't the broke kid who rode in a skeleton-powered cart. I was their lord, and what I said was law. I gave one last smile. Good. After we leave this hall, the dungeon officially begins. No more words. Watch my hands. Follow me. I walked to the front of the line. Behind me, Holly carrying Ellie. Then the mercenaries scattered around the slaves. Everyone barefoot or in soft shoes. Silent as ghosts. The mercs were honestly more worried about the slaves making noise than the monsters. But what they didn't realize is that trained slaves fear death more than anything. The noisy ones don't survive long enough to get sold. I led them through the castle using pure muscle memory from hundreds of game runs. Narrow hallways. Winding passages. Over walls. Across rooftops. Through ceiling gaps. Not a single monster. Not one. Every route I picked was a path I'd memorized specifically because it avoided spawns. Every turn I made was calculated. Every pause was timed. People behind me started breathing easier. Some even looked impressed. What they didn't know is that my heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. In the game, if you died, you respawned. Here, dead is dead. But hey, fake confidence is still confidence, and we hadn't been eaten yet. So far so good. Second corridor, take a right. I was running on pure game memory, tracing routes I'd memorized from hundreds of dungeon runs. On the outside, cool, calm, collected leader. On the inside, my underwear was soaked with sweat and my heart was doing drum solos. One wrong turn and we'd all be monster food. No respawn button in real life. We were so close to the exit when everything went wrong. One of the mercenaries at the back of the line spotted purple flowers growing in a side alley. Purple bloodgrass, a key ingredient for the bronze rank advancement potion. For a guy stuck at black iron upper for years, that's like finding a winning lottery ticket on the ground. I watched in horror as he broke formation and sprinted into the dark alley. Then another mercenary hesitated, saw the grass, and ran after him. I couldn't yell, "Stop," because, oh right, everything in here hunts by sound. I heard rustling, then excited whispering, then screaming. A bloodhound appeared from the darkness. Imagine a giant hyena with no eyes, no nose, completely blood-red. It bit down on the first mercenary like a chew toy. More hounds poured out of the shadows and swarmed the second guy. "Help me, AHHH. The remaining mercenaries looked at me, desperate, wanting to charge in and save their friends. I shook my head and pressed a finger to my lips. Those monsters were all bronze rank or higher. Rushing in would just mean more corpses. Holly clamped her hand over Ellie's mouth so hard I thought the kid might suffocate. The slaves curled into a ball. The lead mercenary, Harold, this big, tough warrior, stood there shaking with tears running down his face as he watched his brothers get torn apart and eaten. Nobody questioned me after that. Nobody made a single sound. I led them through the final stretch to the sewer exit. When I felt the air moving, I almost collapsed with relief. We made it out. A cold, emotionless voice echoed in everyone's heads. Castle source unresolved. History fragment will persist. Reward, body enhancement. One-time effect. We walked out of the castle into white fog that was still everywhere, but now we could see through it, like we'd all gotten magical X-ray vision. And everyone felt stronger. The dungeon gave us a participation trophy for not dying. Harold clenched his fist. My strength. It actually increased. Another mercenary swung his sword a few times. Everything feels lighter. Holly looked at me with wide eyes. Master Right. What just happened? I explained it as simply as I could. The history fragment recreates past events. Solving the source destroys it. We didn't solve anything. We just escaped. But surviving still earns you a body enhancement. Think of it as the gods saying, "Good job, not dying." I looked up at the white fog filling the sky. Whether this blessing comes from the gods or the creator, who knows? Very mysterious. Very wise-sounding. I was mostly just exhausted and making stuff up as I went. Holly asked if we should keep traveling. Nah, I waved my hand. Sleep. No night watch needed either. While we're inside the fog zone, nothing can reach us, unless someone else comes along and kills the source monster inside the castle, which, let's be honest, isn't happening tonight. Everyone crashed hard, but not everyone slept peacefully. What I didn't know was that my big goblin slaves were having a secret meeting. The goblin leader, I'll call him Big Bro, was sitting with his two blood brothers, second bro and third bro, touching the slave collar on his neck. Big Bro, should we escape? The human mercenaries are asleep, third bro whispered. I already asked the others, second bro added, annoyed. They're a disgrace to great goblins. None of them want to leave. That human lord must have some kind of mind control magic. See, during the trip, I'd promised them housing, food, fair treatment. No torture for entertainment. No working them to death. No using racial duty as an excuse to abuse them. Most of them assumed I was full of garbage. But then the dungeon happened. They watched me lead 40-something people through a monster-infested castle without losing a single person under my command. The two who died were the idiots who broke MY rules. They saw a leader who kept his word. A lord who walked at the front of the line instead of hiding in the back. Big Bro exhaled slowly. We're not leaving. That lord is smart. He's not guarding us on purpose. He knows we can't go anywhere. We're in the fog zone. Step outside and we're dead. Oh, Big Bro, you're so wise, second bro said, kissing up. In reality, I literally just forgot about them because I was tired. There was zero strategic calculation involved. But hey, sometimes being lazy looks like genius. Besides, Big Bro continued, this direction. It feels like we're heading home. The forest where the ogres kicked us out. Second bro's face twisted with anger. Those stupid ogres drove us from our territory. Then humans captured us and told everyone we were Beast Alliance soldiers to jack up our price. Liars. So my elite captured in battle goblin warrior was actually just a refugee who got scammed into expensive merchandise. This world runs on fraud. Meanwhile, back in Golden Domain's forest, the lizard men were having the worst week of their lives. They'd charged into the forest looking for me, the guy who was currently a 9-day ride away sipping coffee, and immediately got ambushed by the ogre tribe. Half of them were dead. Eaten, actually. Ogres are born supernatural, black iron from birth. The lizardmen mostly needed potions and years of training just to unlock the tiny drop of dragon blood in their veins. The chief sat on the ground, beaten and bloody, raging at the sky. Why is fate so unfair? Then he stood up, eyes burning red, and declared, "That clever human planned this. He lured us into the forest knowing the ogres would attack. This is his scheme. Sir, I wasn't even in the same zip code. But sure, blame me. We wait until the ogres sleep, then strike. We're smarter than those idiots. Ogre brains are smaller than our fists. Kill the ogres who serve the human. Take the land deed." The remaining lizardmen rallied behind him, bloodied but motivated. I was 9 days away, had no idea any of this was happening, and was currently fast asleep drooling on my bedroll. Apparently, I was playing 4D chess without even being on the board. After a solid rest in the fog zone, we hit the road again. Everyone moved fast. Nothing motivates like watching two guys get eaten alive the night before. I glanced back at the white fog behind us. That history fragment was actually doing me a favor. It blocked the trade routes, sure, but it also blocked any Beast Alliance soldiers from reaching my territory. Silver lining. Literally, the fog was kind of silverish. I made a mental note. Come back and clear that dungeon properly once I hit silver rank. For now, it was nature's "do not enter" sign, and I was fine with that. What I didn't know was that the entire world was falling apart. The history fragments weren't just hitting us. They dropped everywhere. Cities, noble estates, major highways, even near capital cities. The whole continent of Aeroland got slammed at once. Back in the Drayton Kingdom's capital, the old king was having a meltdown. Provinces going dark. Armies swallowed by fog. Entire cities disappearing. He slammed his scepter down and mobilized every noble, every knight, every official to map the fog zones and evacuate civilians. Even the immortal emperor himself pulled 3 legions back from the frontier wars to start clearing the big dungeon zones. Soldiers marching through the kingdom screaming, "Loyalty! Loyalty!" and speed-running history fragments like it was a competitive sport. Meanwhile, in My Forest, where I was absolutely, definitely not present, the Lizardman chief was making the worst decisions of his life. He found a small settlement of tree houses in the forest and immediately assumed it was MY's secret hideout with ogre bodyguards. That sneaky human bewitched those stupid ogres. It was actually just a goblin village, with ogres living nearby because ogres live in forests. Nobody bewitched anyone. He launched a night raid anyway. The result? Every single Lizardman warrior died. All of them. But they took out 10 ogres, nearly wiping out the ogre tribe in the process. The chief stood alone among the corpses, screaming oaths to his dead soldiers about becoming the true master of the land. Then he opened the biggest tree house and found goblin children, huddled together, shaking. I'm told as I twitched so hard it almost fell out. No humans, no secret base, no land deed, just terrified goblin kids. The chief was on the verge of a complete mental breakdown. He'd sacrificed his entire army attacking a daycare. Where is the human lord? He roared at the biggest goblin kid. The little goblin, shaking like a leaf, squeaked, "P promise you won't kill us, and I'll tell you." Fine. The gods witness it. He went deeper into the forest. "If you hurry, you can catch him." The goblin pointed in a random direction. The chief took off running. 3 days later, he dragged himself back to the swamp. Alone, beaten, half dead. He'd fought another ogre deep in the forest. Won, technically, but his organs were damaged. He was dying slowly. Everything he'd done, the raids, the speeches, the holy dragon warrior pride, all for nothing. His warriors were gone. Their food supplies were empty. No hunters left. The tribe was finished. He sat in the mud and accepted reality. If surrendering to the human lord meant food, then surrender it was. If not, they'd have to abandon their home and migrate. Either way, his dream of becoming the first Lizardman king was dead. When his people asked what happened, he only said one thing: "The human lord is unfathomably powerful. Sir, I was in a hotel drinking coffee 9 days away. But sure, I'm a mastermind." Fast forward to my arrival. "Noble sir, beyond this swamp lies your territory. In the name of the god of fairness and law, we have fulfilled our contract." I nodded at the familiar words. Harold, the mercenary captain, was practically vibrating with relief. He wanted nothing more than to find a tavern and drink until he forgot that bloodhounds exist. I looked out at my swamp, and smiled. This time I had supplies, workers, tools, seeds, food, and a butler who remembered to buy blankets. I was ready. Holly was staring at me in the sunlight with a weird expression. When I turned to look at her, she quickly pretended to be examining the horizon. Strange woman. I turned to face everyone. Look ahead. That's Golden Domain. Your new home. It's not much yet, but welcome home, my people. Great speech. Dramatic pause. Sun behind me. Perfect moment. And then the swamp exploded with lizard men. Battle stations, I yelled. Everyone grabbed weapons. The mercenaries formed up. Even the goblins and rabbit folk braced themselves. But the lizard men weren't attacking. They were kneeling. Almost 100 of them, crawling out of the swamp and pressing their faces into the mud. But these weren't warriors. These were elderly lizard men, children, injured ones, skinny ones. They looked like they hadn't eaten in weeks. At the front, the lizard man chief, covered in wounds, scales dull, looking like he'd aged 20 years, stared at me, then stared at my supply caravan behind me. His jaw dropped. You all weren't even. Then he fainted. Just thud, face first into the swamp. The chief who'd spent weeks convinced I was hiding in the forest playing 4D chess? He realized I'd just left, gone shopping, bought slaves, hired a butler, had coffee, while he destroyed his entire tribe fighting ghosts. The revelation literally knocked him unconscious. An older lizard man elder stepped forward. He'd clearly figured it out too, but what choice did they have? No warriors, no food, no future. In the name of the god of nature and life, we lizard men submit to you, our lord. Guarantee us food, and we will be your most loyal servants. Every lizard man echoed. In the name of the god of nature and life, we submit. I had absolutely no idea what had happened. Why were they starving? Why was the chief half dead? Why were there no warriors? What happened in my forest? But did I show confusion? Absolutely not. I tilted my chin up, let the sunlight hit my gorgeous purple hair and red eyes, and gave them my most mysterious, all-knowing smile, like a chess grandmaster accepting a well-earned checkmate. Behind me, everyone was stunned. The mercenaries, the goblins, the rabbit folk. Even Holly's mouth was slightly open. Big Bro the goblin was especially shocked. He grew up in that forest. He knew how tough these lizard men were. They used to fight his people over fishing territory all the time. And now they were bowing to my feet like I was a god? What did this lord do while he was away? Nothing, Big Bro. Absolutely nothing. That's the beauty of it. I turned to my people with my best commanding voice. Everyone rest here. Then I looked at the kneeling elder. You, come with me. We need to talk. Just another day of accidentally being a genius. I sat by the swamp with the lizard man elder and listened to the whole story. And oh, my God, while I was gone, 9 days of casually traveling to town, selling a fruit, buying slaves, drinking coffee, and hiring a butler, the lizard man chief went absolutely insane. He convinced himself I was hiding in the forest, led 50 warriors in to find me, got ambushed by ogres, lost half his army, found a goblin village and thought it was my secret base, attacked it, lost the other half of his army killing ogres who had nothing to do with me, then chased a fake lead from a terrified goblin child, fought another ogre alone, wrecked his internal organs, came back to the swamp with 0 soldiers, 0 food, and 0 will to live. He single-handedly destroyed the ogre tribe and his own tribe at the same time. 2 enemies wiped out because one guy couldn't accept that I simply walked away. I wanted so badly to say something extremely colorful in my native language. But I'm a lord now. Lords don't do that. Lords nod thoughtfully and say wise things. He overestimated the land deed's power, I said, all calm and philosophical. The deed can't magically fill rivers with fish. Your people's overfishing pushed your homeland to the brink. His ambition blinded him. The elder's face crumbled. He was almost 100 years old. He knew I was right. The whole tribe knew their swamp was dying. But hunger and a charismatic leader screaming about destiny made everyone believe a glowing piece of paper would fix everything. However, I continued, if you truly submit, I'll provide food. You live on my land. My people don't starve. But you work for it. Nothing is free. The elder's eyes went wide. Truly, I am the lord of Golden Domain and a noble of the kingdom. My word is iron. Thud. The old lizard hit the ground in a full bow. If the lord keeps his promise, The lizard men will serve faithfully. His loyalty on my appraisal screen still showed neutral, but that's fine. Trust is earned, not bought. Give me time. What about your deceased chief? I asked. The elder immediately understood what I was really asking. I will personally present his magic crystal to you, my lord, as proof of our submission, a bronze rank magic crystal. Exactly what my golden tree needed to grow. This day just kept getting better. His body will receive a water burial, per our customs. We return the fallen to the mother river. I nodded. Good. We'll talk more tomorrow. The lizard men went back to the swamp. I led my people around it and into the heart of Golden Domain. And that's when reality hit everyone like a truck. My domain was a field of weeds, wild grass everywhere, uneven ground, hills with nothing on them. The only sign anyone had ever been here was the smashed remains of my old wooden shack, the one the lizard men demolished on their night raid. No buildings, no roads, no tavern, no anything. The silence was painful. Holly pulled Ellie behind her, eyes wide with horror. She'd prepared herself for rustic. She had not prepared herself for literally nothing. The mercenaries exchanged looks that screamed, "We made a terrible life choice." The rabbit folk slaves' ears drooped like wilted flowers. The goblins just stared blankly. Holly leaned in and whispered, very carefully, "Master Right, your territory is really here." I nodded and decided to go big. I summoned the royal land deed. Golden light erupted from the earth. Thousands of sparkling points rose from the ground and gathered in my palm, forming a glowing document. The ultimate proof of ownership. Dead silence. Then little Ellie screamed, "Mommy, look, the fireflies are dancing. So pretty. Bless that child." She broke the tension better than any speech could. "This is the royal land deed," I declared, holding it up. "This land is mine, doubt gone." But morale was still somewhere underground. Time for the inspirational speech I'd been rehearsing in my head. Everything starts from zero. The Drayton Kingdom began as a forest tribe. Blackstone Fortress was once an empty plain. Every city started with one building. We will lay the first brick, plant the first seed, build the first town with our own hands. The weeds we pull today will become wheat fields tomorrow. The stones we stack now will become walls that protect our children. We are Golden Domain's first citizens. And I promise you, you will be honored and happy for it. Pretty good, right? I might have teared up a little myself. Then I looked at the slaves, who still seemed unconvinced. Time for the big move. In the name of the God of fairness and law, I promise that in 3 years, every slave collar comes off. If you choose to stay, the houses you build with your own hands will be yours. That got their attention. Ears perked up, eyes widened. Freedom and property? For slaves, that's like someone offering you a winning lottery ticket for doing your job. I clapped my hands. Goblins, start chopping trees. Rabbit folk, clear the ground. Let's build. Holly sighed, accepted her fate, and started organizing everything like the professional she was. She'd realized there was no backing out. And honestly, she'd been watching me for days. She knew I wasn't a fraud, just a crazy person with a plan. Plus, Ellie was already obsessed with me because I told her bedtime stories on the road. That's when Harold, the mercenary captain, walked up. "My lord, we should be going." I patted the log next to me. "Sit down, Harold," he sat. "Going back is suicide right now. That history fragment is still blocking the road. Can you guarantee you'll survive the castle a second time?" His face went gray. He remembered the bloodhounds. He remembered his brothers. "We're mercenaries," he said quietly. "We eat by risking our lives. We can't hide here forever." I smiled. "What if I hire you? Permanently. And for payment, I guarantee every single one of you reaches bronze rank within a year." Harold jumped to his feet. This man had been stuck at Black Iron Upper for 10 years. His fighting spirit was maxed out. His body was ready, but he'd never been able to afford the bronze advancement potion or find the right materials. Same story for his dead brothers. If they'd been bronze, those bloodhounds might not have killed them. In this world, there are only 2 power paths: magic, wizards, and fighting spirit, knights. The ranks go: Black Iron equals apprentice. Bronze equals actual knight or mage. Silver equals earth knight or mage. Gold equals sky knight or grand mage. Platinum equals kingdom knight or holy mage. Legend equals knight king or mage king. Harold had been an apprentice knight for a decade. I was offering him his dream. "You're not joking," His voice cracked. I extended my hand. We can swear an oath or sign a contract. 1 year. Bronze rank. Monthly salary, never late. Deal? He hesitated for just a second. One condition. If a mission is certain death, I won't take it. I need partners who fight beside me, I said. Not cannon fodder who die for nothing. Harold grabbed my hand like a drowning man catching a rope. And just like that, I had a knight. Well, an apprentice knight. But details. I signed the contract with Harold and his 2 remaining mercenaries, 6,500 nars per month each, plus I'd help them break through to bronze rank within a year. Both sides walked away thinking they robbed the other blind. Harold was getting a paycheck and the advancement he'd been chasing for a decade. Meanwhile, I was getting 24/7 security guards with 0 vacation days, 0 holidays, and 0 complaints during the hardest phase of building my territory. No HR department in Golden Domain, baby. With everyone assigned jobs, the place was already starting to look like, well, not a kingdom. More like a very ambitious camping trip. Goblins chopping trees. Rabbit folk clearing weeds with tiny sickles. Tents and wood frames scattered everywhere. But at least it wasn't just empty grass anymore. I called Holly over and showed her my hand-drawn territory development plan. She stared at it. These squares are houses, I explained. The lines are roads. This pentagon is the public toilet. This triangle is the bathhouse. She kept staring. My drawing skills are what you'd call abstract art, if you were being extremely generous, and kindergarten scribbles, if you were being honest. Bathhouse can wait, I added quickly. Priority is shelter. We upgrade later. The area I picked for housing was the only flat ground in my entire territory. Near water, facing the swamp, hills on the right, forest. Behind, and to the left. Not exactly prime real estate, but it was the best option among swamp, monster forest, and bumpy hills. Holly asked the smart question. When do we start farming? We need food. I gave her my most mysterious smile. Build the houses first. I have a plan. I did have a plan, actually. Back at the Lewis family estate, I'd spent months preparing for every possible scenario. No existing farmland? Covered. Terrain not suitable for crops? Covered. I wasn't some idiot who showed up to build a kingdom without homework. Okay, I was partially an idiot, but a prepared idiot. Once everyone was busy, I slipped away to inspect the territory. Translation, I went to visit my golden tree. It was autumn, so the tree blended right in, small, unremarkable, hidden among regular trees. Perfect camouflage. My future lord's mansion would be built right here, surrounding the tree. This secret stays buried. I pulled out 4 bronze rank magic crystals. Nearly everything I had left. It physically hurt to spend them. I tossed all 4 at the tree's roots. The crystals hit the soil and instantly melted into glowing liquid. The roots slurped them up like a kid drinking a milkshake. And then, a new fruit appeared on the branch. This one was different. I could see a faint image inside it. A man in military uniform, looking sad and serious. My appraisal kicked in, LeBron fruit. Category, heroic spirit. Effect, grants the power of the heroic spirit LeBron, who possessed a special bloodline allowing transformation into an armored giant. Oh, this game. This shameless, beautiful, copyright-infringing game. They ripped off a certain anime about giant people fighting behind walls and just slapped a basketball player's name on it. I love it. No notes. Heroic spirit fruits give you the powers of famous historical figures from this world's past. If your rank is too low, you only get partial strength, but still, armored giant transformation. That's not nothing. I plucked the fruit and stored it in my player inventory. As the tree's master, I could use any fruit's power without eating it. This one was going in the sell for ridiculous money pile or the give to someone loyal pile. Haven't decided yet. Best part? As the tree bore fruit, I felt my total magic power increase again. Not enough to break through to bronze, but close. Getting closer every day. By sunset, my people had built 5 basic shelters. Built is generous. They were wooden walls with leaf roofs and beds made of sticks covered in hay and blankets. But they had doors. Well, one of them had a door. Mine. Lord Privileges. Holly walked up carrying a sleeping Ellie, who had grass in her hair from trying to help with construction. Adorable little worker. All beds are ready, Master Right. The rabbit folk shelter is extra large as you requested, reinforced with additional support beams. Fits all 20. I nodded. The housing breakdown. One big room for rabbit folk, one for goblins, one for mercenaries, one for Holly and Ellie, and one for me. My room was the second largest and the only one with an actual wooden door. Small victories. Hand out the rations and let everyone rest, I told her. Harold was already organizing night watches with his remaining guys, Gordon and Blake. I'll take the midnight shift. You two take first watch. Yes, boss. I looked at the temporary pit toilet we'd dug and frowned. Tomorrow, we're building a real bathroom. One thing I refused to compromise on: hygiene. I'd bought special cleaning paper, made from a plant that has a built-in cleansing spell effect. Basically magic toilet paper. Very popular in this world, and for good reason. I distributed it to everyone, including the slaves. I may be a broke lord living in a stick house, but I will not live like a barbarian. Some standards are non-negotiable. That night, while I slept peacefully behind my beautiful wooden door, the goblins were having another escape meeting. Big bro, our home forest is right there. If we don't run now, when? Second bro hissed. Yeah, this lord's got nothing. Just food and a roof, third bro added. Big bro hesitated. First night on new territory, the lord will have extra guards posted. And the forest still has ogres. Remember? Those ogres ate most of our brothers. That's why we're refugees. The word, ogres, shut everyone up real fast. Fine, we wait, second bro grumbled. But I will go home, even if it kills me. Third bro was already snuggling into his hay bed. At least here we eat. And did you notice the bug-repelling stuff the Lord gave us? I'm sleeping great. Let's think about escaping tomorrow. He was snoring within 30 seconds. Big bro lay down, staring at the ceiling, torn between loyalty to his lost homeland and the uncomfortable reality that this weird human lord was treating them better than anyone ever had. In the rabbit folk shelter, similar whispered conversations were happening. Meanwhile, I was dreaming about indoor plumbing and completely unaware that half my workforce was plotting to leave. Being a lord is great. Everyone loves you. Definitely. No trust issues whatsoever. That night, while I was peacefully sleeping behind my lovely wooden door, everyone was plotting to escape. I had no idea, obviously, because I was dreaming about indoor plumbing. The rabbit folk were having a whole committee meeting in their shelter. 20 fluffy conspirators whispering in the dark while goblins snoring provided perfect sound cover. Their eldest female twitched her ears and said something like, "The green idiots fell asleep already. So much for their escape plan. Are we running tonight?" A male rabbit checked outside. "Guards are awake. We'd get caught instantly. So what? We just stay here and be slaves." Here's the thing about my rabbit folk. They weren't even captured by humans. Their own allies, lion folk warriors, sold them. Told them, "Humans are attacking. Come with us," and then handed them straight to slave traders. The slave traders flipped them to Blackstone Fortress. Then I bought them. These poor bunnies went through more ownership changes than a used car. Their original plan was simple: act cute and obedient, wait for an opening, disappear into the night. Classic. The oldest rabbit didn't want to leave, though. This lord seems different. He gave us the same food he eats. He even gave us that cleaning thing for the toilet. Yes. My magic toilet paper was winning hearts and minds. Who knew hygiene was a diplomatic weapon? A rabbit with a torn ear shot back cold. Trust a human? He'll squeeze us dry and sell us like the lions did. A skinny female rabbit started crying. But where would we even go? Everyone turned to their secret leader, a female rabbit named Tahana. What nobody knew, including me, was that Tahana was actually a black iron lower supernatural being. Rabbit folk have a natural talent called self-timidity that perfectly hides their power signature. She looked like a regular scared bunny. She was anything but. Tahana's assessment of me was flattering, terrifying. That human is dangerous. He's stronger than me. He deliberately had the lizardmen surrender in front of us to intimidate us and the green idiots. Ma'am, I did not plan that. The lizardmen showed up completely by surprise, and I was internally screaming, "What is happening?" the entire time. But sure, I'm an evil mastermind. That works too. He's unlike any human I've met. Same food as us, cleaning supplies for everyone, promises of freedom in 3 years. It might be real. For now, act harmless. Wait for a better chance. The rabbits all agreed. No better options anyway. Morning came. The lizard men were already lined up outside camp at dawn, perfectly positioned, close enough to be noticed, far enough not to be threatening. Smart. Holly walked up beside me, her ponytail swaying in the morning breeze. Master Right, are you really taking in these lizard men? Even feeding just 50 of them will drain our supplies fast. Fair point. I smiled my most confident smile. Don't worry, Holly. I told you I'd solve the food problem today. Trust me. She studied my face, saw something there that calmed her down, and softened just slightly. Understood. The lizard man elder approached and bowed. Greetings, my lord. He handed over the chief's magic crystal. Bronze rank. Beautiful. My golden tree was going to love this. I counted the lizard men behind him. Mostly females and young ones. The warriors were all dead, thanks to their late chief's spectacular self-destruction campaign. 67 total, the elder reported. 23 are either very old or very young. Any other lizard man tribes nearby? I asked. The elder sighed. There were others, but the fish disappeared years ago. Most migrated away. Exactly what I expected. When I first surveyed this land, I'd only found this one tribe. All right, I'm officially hiring your people. 60 or more working lizard men, and the contract holds. Your job: transport the lumber the goblins chop to designated areas. 1 hour of work, 12 minutes of rest. This schedule runs for 1 week, then I'll assign new tasks. Payment: 2 full meals per day for the entire tribe. Then I got serious. But let me be clear. I'm assigning supervisors. I don't want lazy lizard men, and I don't want lizard men who are too sick or old forcing themselves to work. This is a mutual relationship, not slavery. The elder agreed instantly, and every lizard man rushed off to help like kids who'd been promised ice cream. Now, the management problem. I had goblins, rabbit folk, and lizard men all working together. 3 different species, 3 different agendas, 3 different secret escape plans I didn't know about. If I let them self-organize by group, they'd just plot together. I needed to break up the power structures. Time for some classic leadership manipulation that I absolutely learned from management books and not from playing strategy games. I walked over to the rabbit folk work area. Using my appraisal, I checked everyone's loyalty scores and found the highest one, an elderly male rabbit hunched over pulling weeds. I stopped in front of him. He looked up, terrified. Congratulations, I said, loud enough for every nearby rabbit to hear. You're promoted. You're now a supervisor. No more manual labor. Your only job is watching everyone else work. His jaw dropped. And me? His eyes flickered toward Dahana, the secret leader. But she showed zero reaction. Smart bunny. Tell me your name. Titoixu, sir. He stammered, ears shaking. Great, Tahoixu. Put down the sickle. Your management now. His loyalty score immediately jumped. Beautiful. Then I walked over to the goblins and picked second bro, the one who'd been screaming loudest about escaping, as their supervisor. Why him? Because my appraisal showed he actually had the highest loyalty despite all his tough talk. The loudest complainers are often the most loyal. They just need to feel important. Second bro's face scrunched up like a dried lemon, but under my gaze, he straightened up and immediately started bossing everyone around in his ridiculous duck voice. Sorry, big bro, but during work hours, I'm in charge. What are you looking at? Did you chop that tree? Did you cut that stump? Stop standing around. Get to work. Big bro's nostrils flared like a bull's, but with me watching, he just grunted and went back to chopping. As I walked away, I could still hear second bro screaming. Hey, you 3. No slacking. The Lord is watching. Beautiful. Chef's kiss. The inmates were now running the prison, and they were stricter than I'd ever be. From across the field, Tahana watched all of this unfold. I could practically feel her analyzing me. What she was probably thinking. This Lord is terrifyingly cunning. He chose beneficiaries from within each group to split our unity. The promoted ones now have something to lose if we escape. And by making slaves supervise slaves, he redirects resentment away from himself and onto our own people. He's reshaping the entire power structure with 2 simple promotions. Humans are evil. What I was actually thinking. The appraisal loyalty numbers went up. Cool. I wonder what's for lunch. But hey, if they want to believe I'm a genius, who am I to argue? Holly looked at the rocky, uneven hillside and asked the question everyone was thinking. Master Right, are you planning to farm here? Fair question. The land was a mess. Holly had already done the math. Flattening the ground would take 2 weeks, building irrigation channels another 10 days, clearing weeds even longer. Our food supplies would last maybe a month. Not enough time to plant anything, let alone harvest it. Everyone was staring at me like I was about to announce we'd be eating dirt. I smiled. Normally, you'd be right. But we live in a world with magic. I reached into my robe, actually my player inventory, and pulled out the ugliest vegetable you've ever seen. A lumpy, purple-spotted tuber covered in bumps. It looked like a potato that had a rough childhood. This is a poison soil potato. Gordon, the mercenary, went pale. My lord, that thing is a nightmare. It sucks all the nutrients from the soil, kills everything around it, and poisons anyone who eats it. Even cooking doesn't remove the toxins. He was right. Farmers in this world hated these things. They were basically agricultural terrorists, fast-growing parasites that murdered soil for a year or two after they spread. But Gordon didn't know what I knew. In the game, clever players discovered a cheat strategy. Step 1. Plant poison soil potatoes on land protected by a royal land deed. The deed makes soil regenerate, so the damage is temporary. Step 2. Cast plant growth acceleration to speed everything up. Harvest in 1 week instead of months. Step 3. Dump waste on the depleted soil. The deed absorbs it and restores the land faster. Step 4. Replant. 3-week harvest cycles, forever. Infinite food from a poisonous weed that everyone else treats like a curse. The game community called it the toxic potato meta, and it was gloriously broken. My family developed a method to make these completely safe to eat, I announced. And I'll prove it by eating one first. I pulled out 3 golden brown flatbreads from my inventory, already made from processed poison soil potatoes. I tested the recipe back at the Lewis estate months ago. Completely safe. Actually delicious. I handed one to Holly and one to Gordon, then bit into mine with the most exaggerated face I could manage. Holly hesitated for half a second, then took a small bite. Her eyes went wide. This is incredible. The bread was crispy on the outside, soft inside, subtly sweet with a satisfying crunch. Holly kept eating like she'd forgotten she was supposed to be dignified. Gordon inhaled his in 3 bites and looked at me like I'd just shown him the face of God. Your family is extraordinary, my lord. To solve a problem that's plagued farmers for centuries, I waved modestly. To avoid unnecessary attention, from now on, we call these golden potatoes. Rebranding. Very important for a lord's image. Can't have my signature crop called poison soil potato. Marketing 101. Then I reached into my robe and scattered chunks of golden potato across the weedy hillside. My palms glowed pale green as I cast plant growth acceleration. What happened next made Gordon's jaw literally drop. The weeds shriveled in real time, shrinking, drying, dying, while the potato roots exploded outward like living tentacles, drilling deep into the soil, sucking up every nutrient in sight. In seconds, the entire hillside was covered in rapidly growing potato vines. Gordon whispered, "That growth speed is 10 times faster than any magical plant I've ever seen." Then his brain kicked in and he noticed something else. I'd been pulling things from thin air. A spatial storage item. Those are so rare and expensive that only top-tier nobility can afford them. I could practically see the gears turning in his head. Young lord. Impossibly pure noble features. Spatial storage artifact. Came here alone to build a territory. His eyes lit up with new conviction. Whatever conclusion he'd reached, it made him believe my promise about bronze rank advancement even more. Holly, assign some rabbit folk to plant the remaining golden potatoes tomorrow, I said casually. I'll keep accelerating the growth. 1 week from now, harvest time. Holly exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for a week. The food crisis that had been keeping her awake at night? Solved. Just like that. As expected of you, my lord, she said, and I swear her Ice Queen face actually showed something close to admiration. That night, while I tried to sleep, every single shelter was buzzing with secret conversations. Again, in the goblin room, Big Bro was glaring daggers at Second Bro. You seemed real comfortable bossing everyone around today, brother. Second Bro panicked. Big Bro, it's a trap. The Lord is trying to divide us. But think about it. If I have his trust, I can find weaknesses in the camp's security and lead our escape. Third Bro stirred the pot. Funny, because you looked pretty happy doing nothing while everyone else worked. I was scouting. Second Bro's duck voice hit a new octave. I was observing the camp layout, looking for escape routes. Believe me, Big Bro calmed down. Fine. Did you find anything? Second Bro puffed out his chest. I need more time. They fell asleep. In the rabbit shelter, old Tahuixu shuffled over to Tahana nervously. Leader, about today, I didn't ask to be promoted. Tahana cut him off. I know. You're just a pawn. Don't worry, nobody suspects you. Then she addressed everyone. The human lord is trying to divide us with pathetic little favors. The more kindness he shows, the more suspicious his true intentions are. Stay united. Stay alert. 20 pairs of ruby-red eyes nodded solemnly. In the mercenary shelter, Gordon was building his theory. I think the Lord might be the illegitimate son of a duke. Or even royalty. Harold and Blake stopped what they were doing. Think about it, Gordon whispered. Spatial storage artifact. Only the highest nobles have those. His appearance. He's the perfect image of an imperial pure-blooded noble. Those features only show up in ducal or royal bloodlines. And he came here alone to build a territory from scratch, which means his identity can't be public. He's clearly a secret child who got support from his powerful family. Harold and Blake considered this. It did make sense. What normal noble looks like, right, Lewis? Acts so refined, stays calm in every crisis, has bottomless resources, and Gordon leaned in for the clincher. He uses magic plant toilet paper. What kind of person refuses to wipe with a handful of grass? Only someone raised in a palace. My toilet paper. My toilet paper was the final piece of evidence that convinced 3 grown warriors I was secret royalty. I could feel their loyalty scores skyrocketing from across the camp without even checking. Meanwhile, in MY room, I was lying face down on my hay bed listening to the muffled sounds of every single group having loud nighttime discussions through thin wooden walls. Do these people not sleep? I rolled over and made a firm decision. Tomorrow. Curfew. Mandatory. A lord needs his beauty rest, and my subjects are treating bedtime like open mic night. First order of business. Build a fence around the golden tree and call it the Lord's estate. Nobody goes in. Very official. Very not suspicious. Lucky for me, it was autumn, so the golden tree's golden leaves blended right in with all the other yellowing trees. Hiding in plain sight. The best kind of hiding. 2 days later, my alchemy lab was finished. Wooden walls, mud-filled cracks, grass roof. It looked like a shed that gave up on life. But it was private, and that's all that mattered. I laid out my tools on the workbench. Precision measuring cups, a burning flask powered by a red magic stone, a mithril scale that could weigh things down to micrograms, and took a deep breath. Time to become a pharmacist. In the game, potion making was easy. Throw in ingredients, press a button, done. In real life, I had to figure out the exact process, temperatures, timing, stirring speed, order of operations, through pure trial and error. The good news, I already knew the exact ingredient ratios from the game. That alone saved me months of experimentation. I started with the simplest recipe, a healing potion called Moonlight Tears. Heat water. Add Eder grass powder. Mix in silver flower tree sap. Sprinkle moonlight flower petals. Stir. Boil. Filter. Distill at low temperature. Batch 1, failed. Batch 2, failed. Batch 5, exploded slightly. Batch 9, turned into something that smelled like a wet dog. Batch 13, suspicious color. Batch 14, a pale green glowing liquid sat in my test tube. I used appraisal. Moonlight Tears, poor quality. Effect, powerful healing for anyone below silver rank. Can be applied internally or directly to wounds. Warning, repeated use causes drug resistance. Yes, it was terrible quality, but it worked. A healing potion that didn't exist in this era. Nobody in this entire world had invented this yet. I was centuries ahead of every alchemist alive. I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. I spent the next several days locked in my shed like a mad scientist, burning through materials, refining my technique, failing and trying again. Holly brought me meals. I barely noticed. I forgot to shower. I forgot to shave. I may have forgotten what sunlight looked like. On day 7, I emerged from the lab looking like a wild man. Hair everywhere, bags under my eyes, clothes wrinkled. But in my hand was a crystal vial filled with liquid that looked like melted emeralds. Moonlight Tears, perfect quality. I wanted to kiss the bottle. I didn't, but I wanted to. While I'd been playing mad scientist, my people had been busy. Holly ran things like a military operation, and I stepped outside to find Golden Domain actually looking like a real settlement. Two public toilets stood on opposite ends of the housing area, each with clear gender symbols drawn in charcoal on the door. My proudest contribution to civilization. Not everyone appreciated it. Why do we need separate bathrooms? A young lizard man complained. Our ancestors always just whack. The lizard man elder smacked him with his tail and pointed at the rabbit folk lining up politely. Look at how a civilized species behaves. The female rabbit folk had even added grass curtain dividers inside their bathroom stalls. Maximum privacy. Meanwhile, the lizard men and goblins were still adjusting to the concept of not doing it wherever you feel like. A tool shed was the first permanent building completed. I personally carved symbols on the wall for every tool. Crossed handles for axes, curved lines for sickles, jagged lines for saws. Everything had its place. This alone saved half an hour every morning and stopped tools from mysteriously disappearing. Then came my greatest innovation yet, the bathhouse. Hot water. Actual hot water baths. The lizard men carried water from the river every afternoon at 5, heated it up, and everyone got to soak. Women and females first. Males get in after the water is changed. Holly announced at the door every single day, multiple times, because the bathhouse was insanely popular. People who'd spent their whole lives washing in cold rivers were suddenly addicted to warm baths. The goblins, who I'm pretty sure had never bathed voluntarily, discovered that being clean felt good. The rabbit folk practically moved in. Only the lizard men stubbornly took cold baths, insisting hot water softens the scales, traditional to the end. Housing upgrades came next. Double-walled wooden buildings with moss and dirt insulation between the layers. Hinged window shutters. Nothing fancy, no carvings, no decorations, just solid, warm shelter. These would eventually be replaced by brick buildings, but for now, surviving winter was the only goal. Then came harvest day. Master Right, it's time to dig up the golden potatoes. Want to come watch? Holly appeared at my lab door. Little Ellie popped out from behind her mom. Big brother Right, are you coming? I ruffled her fluffy hair, and she giggled. Perfect stress relief. The rabbit folk marched to the planting area and stopped dead. Where there used to be thick weeds and wild grass, there was nothing but bare dirt. The golden potatoes had devoured everything. They exchanged nervous looks. Could anything edible really grow in this wasteland? Start digging, I said. And save the vines. We need those. The first hoe hit the ground. A massive purple tuber rolled out, caked in dirt. Every rabbit folk nearby froze. That single potato was 3 times the size of a normal one. One tuber could feed a person for an entire meal. And there were thousands of them underground. Tahana, the secret rabbit leader, stared with her mouth open. Humans have something like this? No wonder they call it golden potato. It's worth more than actual gold. By noon, a small mountain of golden potatoes sat in the middle of camp. The rabbit folks sorted them by size while Holly marched through with her clipboard, weighing bags and scribbling notes with a feather pen. When she spotted tubers with purple spots still on them, she immediately barked. Spotted ones go in the seed pile. Those are for replanting. This woman was born to manage things. I should give her a raise. The rabbit folk washed, boiled, peeled, and mashed the potatoes under Holly's hawk-like supervision. She knew these things used to be called poison soil potatoes, so every step was inspected twice. By evening, hundreds of golden brown flatbreads were ready. Harold took one bite, and his eyes went wide. This is better than the wheat bread from the capital's best bakery. He checked his fighting spirit circulation. No toxins, no side effects. He was sold. The goblins went absolutely feral. Big Bro ate 5 flatbreads by himself. Second Bro and Third Bro were fighting over seconds. The other goblins had given up all pretense of dignity and were just shoving food into their faces. The lizard men, creatures who'd been catching slimy swamp fish their whole lives, tasted the sweet, warm bread and experienced flavors they didn't know existed. Several of them cried. Actually cried. Over a potato pancake. Even the rabbit folk, who'd been maintaining their cautious and suspicious act, couldn't help themselves. Tahana was eating with careful, measured bites, then gradually accelerating until she was chewing faster than she could swallow. She wiped a crumb from her lip and pretended no one saw. But her ears were vibrating with happiness, and everyone noticed. Little Ellie tugged on my sleeve. Big brother Right, will we always get to eat food this yummy? I smiled and wiped a crumb off her cheek. Even better food is coming, little Ellie. But don't eat too much or you'll get a tummy ache. That night, the breeze carried laughter and conversation through the camp and up to the branches of the golden tree. For the first time since arriving in Golden Domain, it sounded like a home. And for the first time, nobody was plotting to escape. Okay, they were probably still plotting, but at least they were plotting on full stomachs. Progress. Things were going great. Too great, actually. Should have known the universe would send me a reality check. But first, the nightly drama update. In the rabbit shelter, Tahana noticed 3 rabbits were missing. Turns out I'd given Tahuixu and 2 other high-loyalty rabbits their own private rooms as a reward for good work. Tahana was fuming. That evil human lord is deliberately splitting us apart to destroy our unity. Then, quieter. The flatbread tonight was really good, though. Over in Goblin territory, Big Bro was staring at 2 empty beds. Both his brothers, Second Bro and Third Bro, had earned private housing. The guys who'd been screaming, "Let's escape," the loudest now had their own rooms, warm beds, and daily golden potato deliveries. Big Bro, the actual supernatural warrior, was still bunking with everyone else and chopping extra trees to cover the workload. He was livid, but the golden potatoes were so good that he just kept working. My divide and conquer strategy was working perfectly. And by strategy, I mean, I gave nice things to whoever my appraisal said liked me most. Complex political manipulation? Nah, I was literally just sorting people by a number and giving the high scores better stuff. The spreadsheet method of leadership. 1 month passed. Golden Domain was humming along nicely. Then the lizard man elder ran up to me with a report that made my stomach drop. My lord, 14 human cavalry approaching from beyond the swamp. All male. All appear to be supernatural beings. 14 armed riders? Coming here? Had someone cleared the history fragment blocking the road? That was the only easy path to my territory. Otherwise, you'd have to cross mountains, which would take. They spent over 2 weeks going around the fog zone. Oh, they went over the mountains. That's not something casual travelers do. That's something people with bad intentions do. I immediately went into crisis mode. Goblins, drop everything, perimeter defense. Holly and Ellie, stay inside, don't come out. Mercenaries, with me, hilltop position, eyes on the approaching group. From the high ground, I watched 14 riders stop a few hundred meters from camp. One of them, a guy in a mage's robe, did something with glowing blue eyes. Some kind of long-range detection spell. What I found out later. His scan told their leader that my 3 mercenaries were black iron rank, and that I, the purple-haired noble standing at the entrance, had no detectable supernatural level. See, the golden tree's blessing makes my power completely invisible to detection. Everyone who scans me thinks I'm a regular human. Usually this is an advantage. Right now, it made me look like easy prey. Their leader, a big guy with a bushy beard, sent 3 men forward. Scout the camp. Get information. If the Lord is weak, we take everything. 2 hours. If you don't signal or come back, we charge. These weren't soldiers or mercenaries. They were raiders. Professional bandits who roamed outside the kingdom, pillaging Lord territories for fun and profit. 3 of them rode toward my camp. I checked their loyalty scores with appraisal. Negative numbers. Below 0. That means we'll definitely try to kill you. Not. Might be hostile. Not. Somewhat unfriendly. Full on. You are already dead in their minds. Wonderful. The lead rider, a bronze lower knight named Swift, put on his friendliest smile as he approached. Good day, noble sir. Is this your territory? I nodded. All 3 dismounted, very polite, very respectful. I'm Swift, a knight serving Baron Barlow. We got lost after encountering the white fog. Could you point us in the right direction? I glanced at the 11 other riders sitting several hundred meters away. Swift noticed. Oh, don't worry about them. As honorable knights, they'd never approach your camp uninvited. We're just lost travelers, that's all. Sure you are. And I'm the Emperor's nephew. I smiled warmly and invited them inside. Well then, come in. Let's talk, Sir Knight. The 3 raiders exchanged smug looks. They thought I'd let my guard down. They led their horses into camp, scanning everything. What they saw, a handful of black iron mercenaries, some goblins who looked toughish, a bunch of timid rabbit folk, and a young noble lord with apparently 0 combat ability. Christmas morning for bandits. Tell me about this Baron Barlow, I said casually. Swift gave me some story about an inherited land deed in a territory called Mountain Water Valley. I fed him accurate geographic information, We were in Thousand Forest Township, adjacent to his supposed destination. He'd gone completely the wrong direction. This part was actually true and useful, so he bought my cooperative act completely. Then his tone shifted. Swift's hand drifted to his sword. Your camp looks new. Why only these few slaves? Oh, my other people are patrolling the area, I said lightly. It's dangerous out here. After all, Swift's eyes flashed with predatory light, and he laughed. Your other people? My dear little noble, I practiced the hound breathing technique. I can detect every living thing by their scent. And in this entire camp, there's only what I see right here. He called my bluff. His breathing technique let him sense everyone nearby through their life force, and he'd confirmed I had nothing hidden. You're lying, little noble. His sword was already coming out of its sheath, aimed directly at me. The second Swift's hand touched his sword, I knew this was happening. Good thing I'm paranoid. See, the moment these three walked into my camp, I'd already summoned Seed Green Frog and hidden it in a corner. I may look like a naive pretty boy, but I didn't survive this long by being stupid. Swift drew his sword, and bronze rank fighting spirit exploded around him, red energy crackling along the blade. Forget calling the boss. You black iron weaklings? I can handle this alone. He lunged at me, laughing. My frog struck first. A dozen razor leaves blasted toward the guy at the back, a raider named Sway. Poor guy had barely drawn his sword when his head was already flying off his shoulders. His decapitated body stood there for a full second before it realized it was dead and fell over. One down in 2 seconds. Not bad, Frog. Swift didn't even flinch. He just redirected his attack at me with his strongest technique, Storm-Rending Slash. A blade strike that could literally tear through wind. I dodged backward. Harold jumped into block, and wrong move. A black iron apprentice knight versus an actual bronze knight is like bringing a butter knife to a sword fight. One hit sent Harold skidding backward, coughing blood. Meanwhile, Gordon and Blake engaged the third raider, rank 2-on-1, and they were barely holding even. This guy had real combat experience. Stop resisting, little noble. Swift zeroed in on me. Smart strategy, kill the Lord. The hired help stops fighting. He wasn't wrong about mercenary loyalty, normally. My frog launched another volley of leaf blades at him, but this time they bounced off his fighting spirit barrier like paper planes hitting a brick wall. Barely scratched his armor. Yep, I confirmed to myself. Just like the game. Big rank difference equals big damage reduction. Swift kicked Harold aside like a rag doll and appeared right in front of me. His sword was already overhead. No fighting spirit. Just an apprentice mage, he sneered. At this distance, you can't even finish a spell, little noble. I pulled out a steam pistol and shot him in the face. He tilted his head at the last millisecond. The bullet grazed his cheek, drawing a red line across his skin. His smug expression vanished. You have a church weapon? Before he could process that, my other hand pulled out gun number 2. 2 guns. Always 2 guns. My signature move. Swift jumped backward to create distance, and that was his mistake. In that split second, my frog's vines erupted from the ground and locked around his left leg. He couldn't move. Harold saw the opening and thrust his sword at Swift's chest. The blade couldn't penetrate the fighting spirit barrier and armor combo, but it forced Swift to defend. Bang, 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 bang. I emptied both guns at his unarmored head. Every bullet was blocked by his fighting spirit, but each one drained it further. The red glow around him was fading fast. You damn, the last bullet shattered his barrier like glass. Before he could even finish his curse, my frog's razor leaves sliced through his neck from behind. Swift's head flew off. His eyes were still wide open with disbelief. A bronze rank knight, killed by a normal, noble kid with 2 guns and a frog. The third raider, rank, saw Swift's headless body and panicked. That moment of hesitation cost him his sword arm. Blake severed it, and Gordon drove his blade through the man's throat. 3 raiders. 3 corpses. Fight over. I recalled my frog and surveyed the damage. The rabbit folk were hiding. The goblins were frozen stiff with fear. The only people standing were me and my very battered mercenaries. Harold spat blood. Lord, those are raiders. Professional ones. The remaining 11 will charge when their scouts don't return. We cannot beat them. You need to run. Now, I handed him a vial of perfect quality moonlight tears. Drink this. He drank it skeptically. The effect was instant. The cool liquid flowed through him, wounds closing, pain evaporating, fighting spirit surging back stronger than before. In under a minute, he was completely healed. He stared at the empty vial like it was the Holy Grail. This is even better than the Church of Life's Dawn do. Yeah, because I literally invented a potion that doesn't exist yet in this era. You're welcome. I looked at my 3 mercenaries. Checked their loyalty scores. All at, friendly. Time to make my move. Harold, I said, my voice dead serious. Will you become my knight? He blinked. Not in 1 year. Right now. I will give you the power to advance to bronze immediately. And not just bronze, silver, gold. Everything is possible if you follow me. His jaw dropped. If I run, I continued, everyone in this camp dies. The goblins. The rabbits. Holly. Ellie. I'm not running. This is MY land. My home. The ones who should be running are those raiders out there. I am the Lord of Golden Domain, and I will crush them. Then the big question. Swear loyalty to me, and I will give you power beyond anything you've imagined. Will you? 20 years of mercenary caution. A decade stuck at Black Iron. A lifetime of scraping by, watching better-born men advance while he stagnated. All of it burned away in one moment. Harold dropped to one knee, planted his sword in the ground before me, and spoke with a voice that cracked with emotion. I swear it. On a warrior's honor, I will be your sword. I will protect you and Golden Domain with my life. His loyalty score jumped from friendly to respectful. Massive leap. I drew my sword, touched it to his shoulder, proper knighting ceremony, very dramatic, and declared, in the name of Golden Domain, I, Wright Lewis, name you Guardian Knight. Your loyalty will earn glory beyond bloodline. Rise, Knight Herald of Golden Domain. Then came the show. I pricked my finger, let a drop of blood fall, and activated my modified illumination spell, the basic flashlight spell, but I'd added holy light effects to make it look absolutely spectacular. Golden radiance erupted around us, bathing the entire camp in divine brilliance. Everyone who was watching, hiding rabbits, frozen goblins, injured mercenaries, they all stopped breathing. When the light faded, a golden fruit rested in my palm. Pulled from my player inventory, obviously. But to everyone else, it looked like I'd just created it from my own blood and life force. Time for the speech I'd been crafting in my head. Eat this, my knight. It will advance you to bronze immediately. The Lewis ancestors were blessed by the gods, and I am the only descendant to awaken the divine bloodline. I can sacrifice my life energy to create God-blessed fruits. This power will light your path forward. I let my face go pale, wobbled slightly, made it look like creating the fruit had nearly killed me. Oscar-worthy performance. Absolutely nailed it. My lord. Are you all right? Harold reached for me. I'm fine, I gasped heroically. Just eat it. Quickly, he bit into the golden fruit without hesitation. The LeBron fruit. Sweet juice hit his throat, and golden runes surged through his bloodstream. His black iron fighting spirit ignited, transforming into bronze rank power in an instant. The advancement was smooth, perfect, no side effects. Better than any potion. Harold stood there trembling with new power. Incredible. This fruit is equivalent to, no, far superior to, any advancement potion. Then he felt something else awakening deep inside him. A roaring, enormous presence. The shadow of something colossal stirring in his blood. I knew exactly what it was. That's the power of the heroic spirit, LeBron, I said casually. He could transform into an armored giant. Tear down walls. Crush armies. Take a moment to get familiar with it. Harold looked at his hands like they belonged to someone else. Somewhere inside him, a giant was waiting to come out. I turned to face the camp. Every rabbit, every goblin, every person who'd been cowering was now staring at me. I am the Lord of Golden Domain, and I am giving you an order. Come out. From today forward, the world will know Golden Domain's soil will not be trespassed. Slowly, the rabbit folk crept out of their shelters. The goblins straightened up. Even the ones who'd been frozen with fear were now looking at me with something new in their eyes. Not just obedience. Not just fear. Something dangerously close to belief. I stood on a makeshift wooden platform in the middle of camp and looked at every face staring up at me. Funny thing, 2 weeks ago, all goblins looked the same to me. All rabbits were just fluffy blobs. Now I could tell each one apart. I knew their faces, their quirks, their names. These were MY people. and 14 raiders were about to try to kill them. Time for the speech of my life. There are raiders outside this camp. We have to fight. I can't promise it'll be safe, but I can promise this. Anyone who fights beside me gets their slave contract cut to 1 year. After that, you're free. I swear on my name as Lord of Golden Domain. As long as my heart is beating, I will get you to that freedom alive. Who will stand with me? Silence. Total, crushing silence. I could hear a cricket somewhere. Very unhelpful cricket. Then, the last person I expected, old Tahuixu, stepped forward. The elderly rabbit with shaking ears and arthritic knees. I'll fight, he said, laughing at himself. I don't want to leave. I just want to keep my little room. This frail old rabbit who'd been passed between slave traders for years, who'd never had anything that was his, he was willing to die for a wooden shack with a hay bed. That cracked the dam. Rabbit Wool and Rabbit Evan shoved through the crowd to stand beside him. Third Bro the Goblin came barreling out swinging his logging axe. Raiders captured us before. Now I'm getting payback. Second Bro's duck voice rang out. Oh fine, me too. He ran over and puffed up his chest like he wasn't terrified. Then Tahana stepped forward. The secret rabbit leader. The hidden supernatural warrior. She straightened her spine, ruby eyes blazing, and every rabbit folk behind her gasped. One by one, they followed her. Then Big Bro growled, I'm done being a stray dog, and every remaining goblin marched out. Within a minute, the platform was surrounded. Everyone had volunteered. Not a single person held back. Even the smallest, most timid female rabbit was gripping a sickle with white-knuckled paws. I looked at them all and felt something crack open inside my chest. A genuine, real, unplanned smile spread across my face. Then I snapped my fingers. Click, 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 click. Every single slave collar hit the ground like rain. 30 collars. All at once. Just like that. Freedom isn't something someone gives you, I said, my voice cutting through the shocked silence. It's something you take with a weapon in your hand. You're free. Right now. After this fight, stay or leave, your choice. But in Golden Domain, we don't run. We charge forward. The camp erupted. Holly was smiling. Actually smiling, Ice Queen thawing. Harold and the mercenaries nodded at each other like proud uncles. The goblins were howling. The rabbits were stomping their feet. Okay, motivational speech, complete. Now for the actual, not dying, part. 1 hour later, my goblins pushed logs to the camp entrance and stacked them into makeshift barricades. 10 goblins and 10 rabbits hid behind the wood walls. I stood in front of the barrier like a lunatic, staring down the raiders. Their leader saw me and laughed. Looks like Swift isn't coming back. Boys, charge. He assumed Swift had simply gotten unlucky. If the camp was showing itself this openly, it couldn't be that strong. Just a kid with some logs. Look at them, he mocked. They think wood will stop us. Their mage, Blaze, cast 3 buff spells on the cavalry. Anti-fall magic to keep them mounted, courage enhancement for fighting spirit, and savage charge for extra strength. 10 powered-up riders formed a steel wave and thundered toward us. The ground shook. Dust clouds billowed. It looked like a wall of death. I stood perfectly still, watching, counting distances in my head. Now, 10 goblins popped up from behind the barricade holding steam handguns and opened fire. Bang, 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 bang. Their accuracy was atrocious. Not a single bullet hit anyone. These goblins couldn't hit a barn from inside the barn. But 20 guns firing randomly at charging horses is terrifying regardless of aim. The cavalry formation shattered into chaos. Horses veered. Riders cursed. The beautiful steel wave became a messy puddle. Quick note on the guns. I'd bought 20 steam handguns from Blackstone Fortress's military surplus. Only land deed holders can purchase them, and they're single shot. 1 bullet, then reload. Basically muskets. Not my personal steam pistols, which are way better. The goblins ducked to reload. The rabbit folk popped up and fired the second volley. Scatter. Individual charges, the raider leader screamed. Too late. By 100 meters, continuous fire had dropped 3 riders. 7 left, charging even harder out of pure rage. 50 meters. Another volley. 3 more down. For raiders. Then 3. The leader launched himself off his horse, bronze mid-rank fighting spirit forming a hurricane shield around him. He was certain he could reach me in 3 seconds and take my head. Everyone fall back, I screamed. My people sprinted toward camp. And from inside the camp, Harold came running out. Boom. Steam exploded. Harold's body erupted upward, growing, expanding, metal plates forming across his skin. 7 meters of armored giant burst onto the battlefield like a missile launch. The 3 remaining raiders slammed into 7 meters of living steel and bounced off like tennis balls. Harold, now a towering metal colossus, grabbed 2 raiders in his giant fists and squeezed. The sounds of bones snapping echoed across the field. 2 black iron upper raiders, crushed like empty cans. A giant. Why is there a giant? The raider leader tried to run. Got maybe 4 steps before a building-sized foot blocked his path. Then another foot came down on top of him. Splat. He didn't even get to fight back. Bronze mid-rank. Dead in one stomp. The single most anticlimactic boss fight in history. Harold hit his limit and the giant form dissolved into steam. He collapsed unconscious, totally drained, but very much alive. The goblins and rabbits stood frozen, mouths hanging open. A 7-meter armored giant had just appeared and squished 3 people like bugs. The goblins were wondering if Harold had giant blood. The rabbits were reconsidering every life choice that had led them here. Gordon and Blake exchanged a knowing look. They'd figured out the truth. The golden fruit. Their lord's mysterious power. Their loyalty scores probably broke the scale. Meanwhile, the last raider, Mage Blaze, had watched the entire massacre from a safe distance. He was a bronze lower mage with 0 close combat ability. His reaction was perfectly reasonable. He ran, full speed, toward the swamp, screaming internally. He almost made it. Thwip, thwip, thwip. Arrows flew from the swamp reeds. The lizard men, my lizard men, had been hiding in ambush this whole time. A dozen arrows perforated Blaze before he hit the ground. Possible, he gasped, dying in the mud. A bronze rank mage, killed by the weakest creatures on the food chain. But mages without defense spells are basically glass cannons, and a panicking glass cannon running past a swamp full of angry lizard men is just target practice. 14 raiders rode into my territory. 0 rode out. I stood on the battlefield. Empty guns, exhausted frog, unconscious knight, cheering former slaves, and a swamp full of very proud lizard men. And let out a breath I felt like I'd been holding for a month. Golden Domain. 1. Everyone who messed with us. 0. The goblins carried unconscious Harold back to camp on a wooden board like he was made of glass. Big green hands, gentle as a mother's. Kind of adorable, actually. Behind me, Gordon whispered to Blake, "See that giant transformation? I bet 1,000 Nars Harold doesn't have giant blood." That was the Lord's fruit. Blake puffed up his chest. "Don't care. I'm done being a mercenary. From today, I'm a citizen of Golden Domain. I'm loyal to the Lord. Forever." Same. Gordon agreed instantly. 2 mercenaries who'd been hired for a short contract just voluntarily became permanent residents. I didn't even have to ask. The power of watching your boss summon a 7-meter metal giant apparently does wonders for employee retention. The rabbit folk, led by Tahana, were already stripping the dead raiders like professional looters. Weapons sorted by type. Coins counted to the last piece. Even broken armor scraps got collected. These rabbits were thorough. I was impressed and slightly scared. Then the lizard man elder crawled up to me on his belly and presented a wooden box. Inside, the mage's head and his magic crystal. "My lord, the swamp's children are part of Golden Domain. We will always be loyal." I gave him a look. "I honestly expected you to hide in the swamp until the fighting was over." He bowed deeper. Very diplomatic. Very non-committal. I checked his loyalty score. Still neutral, of course. This old reptile wasn't loyal. He was strategic. He'd helped kill the mage at exactly the right moment. Low risk, high reward, maximum impression on the new lord. Pure calculated self-interest wearing a loyalty costume. Honestly, I respected it. Good work. Extra rations for the tribe. With the Lizard Man Chief's crystal from before, I now had 4 bronze rank magic crystals total. I rushed back to the golden tree and fed them all in. Glug, 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 glug. The tree drank them like smoothies and produced a new fruit. This one was pitch black, completely different from the golden LeBron fruit. Darkstalker fruit. Category, profession. Effect, grants the Darkstalker profession and awakens the Darkstalker skill tree. A stealth assassin class. Very cool. Into the inventory it goes. But then, the moment the fruit appeared, energy exploded inside me. My magic power surged, compressed, expanded, churned like a volcano. When it settled, I'd broken through to bronze lower. Finally, I was no longer stuck at black iron. The golden tree's growth directly powered my growth. Every fruit it produced pushed me closer to the next rank. Bronze lower. First tier of real power. First tier of being taken seriously. I could feel the difference in every cell of my body. That evening, Holly appeared beside me with the loot report. Her Ice Queen face had thawed about 2 degrees, which for her was basically a warm hug. Master Right. We recovered 570,000 NARs in anonymous Imperial Bank checks from the raiders. Cash ready. $500,000 just appeared in my budget. Being attacked by bandits was apparently profitable. Also, 6 living warhorses, 8 dead ones, already being roasted for dinner. 7 high-quality steel weapons, 6 healing potions, and 1 night breathing technique manual. My ears perked up. Breathing technique? The Wind Hawk breathing method. According to the notes, mastering it enhances agility, and sustained practice can take you up to silver lower rank. I snatched the manual from her hands. My family's inherited meditation technique, the Night Crow method, was garbage tier, and the Lewis family had 0 night traditions. This was a massive upgrade. Cheering from the campfire pulled my attention away. The goblins were roasting horse legs over the fire, fat sizzling and dripping into the flames. Rabbit folk girls were dancing around the bonfire, their long ears bouncing to a rhythm. Everyone was laughing, eating, celebrating. We'd survived. We'd won. And for the first time, nobody was whispering about escape plans. Holly noticed me watching and said softly, "They won't leave, Master Right." I nodded, my eyes drifting to Dahana across the fire. Earlier that day, when I'd handed out guns to everyone, including her, she'd looked me dead in the eyes and said, "What if I turned this gun around and shot you in the back?" I just smiled. "You won't, Tahana." Now she sat by the fire, ears twitching, watching me from across the camp. She shook her head and muttered to herself. I lost. She'd spent weeks treating me like the enemy, planning escapes, warning her people about the evil human lord. But when it mattered, I'd freed every slave, armed every rabbit, and stood at the front of the battle instead of hiding behind them. Sneaky human. She corrected herself mid-thought. No, a lord worth following. Her ears bounced as she joined the celebration. Next morning, Harold burst out of his room and dropped to one knee before I'd even finished breakfast. "My lord," "Harold, please. Relax." No kneeling before coffee. He stood up, fidgeting. "Sir, there's something strange in my vision." A glowing dot in the upper left corner of my eye. I froze mid-bite. I knew exactly what that was. It was the same thing I had, the player interface activation point. The golden tree fruits give eaters a player panel. I did not know this. Nobody told me. The game never mentioned it. This was completely new information. I'd accidentally turned a real person into a video game player. I kept my composure. "Harold, say or think the words, personal attributes." He looked at me weird but whispered the words. A translucent screen materialized in front of his eyes. Numbers, stats, categories, the whole RPG menu. I used appraisal to check his panel simultaneously. Harold, Knight, Bronze lower. Constitution, 14. Strength, 11. Agility, 10. Magic, 0. Fighting Spirit, 15. Inventory, 5 cubic meters. Heroic Spirit, LeBron, Armored Giant. Loyalty, 82. Respectful. What? Is all this? Harold touched the floating text with his finger like a caveman discovering a smartphone. I explained it like a patient tech support agent. This interface turns your abilities into numbers. Each stat can be expanded for details. Click on Fighting Spirit, and you'll see exactly how much experience you need to reach Bronze Mid, your recovery speed, your power output, everything. It lets you see your own weaknesses and train specifically to fix them. His mind was clearly blown into orbit. And this inventory thing, personal storage space. You can store and retrieve items instantly, like a spatial artifact, but better and always with you. Harold looked like he might cry. A personal spatial storage? Those cost more than most nobles earn in a lifetime. And he got one for free just by eating a fruit. My lord's divine bloodline truly is beyond comprehension. Yeah, about that divine bloodline story. Let's keep that narrative going. Very useful fiction. As Harold gushed about each feature, I quietly noted what his panel didn't have. No loyalty scores for other people, no appraisal function, and a smaller inventory than mine. He'd received a simplified version of the player system. I bit back a laugh. I'd accidentally created an NPC with a player interface. He could see his own stats and use an inventory, but he couldn't see what I could see, namely, that his loyalty score was 82 and climbing. The original Wright Lewis was a gamer who got transported into his favorite game, and now I was turning the game's NPCs into players. This world wasn't ready. Harold's new training routine was simple. Transform into the armored giant, smash the terrain flat, collapse from exhaustion. Repeat. The beautiful side effect? Every time he practiced, he literally bulldozed the landscape into farmable land. Rocky hills, flattened, overgrown brush, crushed, uneven ground, steamrolled by a 7-meter metal man falling on his face. I called it training with purpose. Harold called it, please let me rest. The rabbit folk called it free construction and swarmed in after every session to clear debris and prep the soil. My agricultural master plan was taking shape. 1/3 golden potatoes, 1/3 seasonal vegetables, 1/3 wheat. But first we needed flat land and irrigation channels, which was now the rabbit folks' main job. Since I'd freed all the slaves, I needed a new economy. Couldn't just feed everyone for free. That's communism, and I'm trying to build a kingdom, not a commune. So I invented the point system. Work for the Lord, earn points. Spend points on food, housing, and, here's the genius part, training manuals. That's right. I put my family's night crow meditation method, the captured windhawk breathing technique, and Harold's basic jackal breathing method on the points shop. Any humanoid being could learn these. Meditation for the magic path, breathing techniques for the night path. Once you got the basics down and took the right potion, you'd become supernatural. In a world where supernatural power is the ultimate prize, I was basically dangling a Ferrari in front of people who'd been riding bicycles. The goblins and rabbits worked like their lives depended on it. Because, in a way, they did. But now they were working for themselves, not because a collar forced them to. Tahana and Big Bro, both accidental supernaturals who'd awakened their powers through sheer luck, wanted breathing techniques more than anyone. They knew exactly how valuable proper training was. Meanwhile, I was locked in my alchemy lab surrounded by rows of perfect moonlight tears, each vial glowing emerald green. A month of obsessive brewing had produced a small fortune in healing potions that this world had never seen. I need to sell these at Blackstone Fortress, I muttered. Stockpiling is wasteful, and I'm running out of ingredients for everything else. Moonlight tears used cheap, common materials. But the higher-tier potions I wanted to practice? Those ingredients were rare, expensive, and I'd burned through my supply in a few failed attempts. Problem was, leaving the territory right now felt risky. Everything was finally running smoothly. Winter was approaching, and the ogres in the forest would probably start wandering out when food got scarce. I was sitting there looking moody when Holly walked in. Master Wright, is something troubling you? I explained the dilemma. Need to sell potions, need to buy supplies, can't really leave. Holly's eyes lit up with a confidence I'd never seen before. You should trust US more, my lord. Then she dropped a bombshell. Tahana had near-perfect photographic memory. She could recall the exact route I'd taken through the History Fragment Castle. Every turn, every corridor, every wall we climbed over. Holly had tested her, asked specific details about the dungeon layout. Tahana nailed every single one, matching Holly's own memories perfectly. If you permit it, Holly said, standing straight as a soldier, I can lead a team to Blackstone Fortress myself. I'll handle the potion sales and supply purchases, and I'll negotiate the best prices. She was right. Holly knew exactly what the territory needed. She'd been managing everything for weeks. She was better suited for this shopping trip than I was. Send Tahana in, I said. Minutes later, the fluffy rabbit leader stood before me. Tahana, I hear you can memorize the castle route, she nodded proudly. My memory has always been exceptional. Her loyalty score read, friendly. Good enough for what I was about to propose. I want you to travel with Holly and Harold to Blackstone Fortress. Will you do this? She hesitated. Then something shifted in her expression. Determination, vulnerability, hope all mixed together. My lord, I have a request. If you grant it, I will give you my absolute, lifelong loyalty. Go ahead. She took a deep breath and told me everything. Her original tribe had 280 rabbit folk. When the lion folk betrayed them, they slaughtered nearly 100. The old, the young, the weak. Just killed them. The survivors were sold twice, and over 50 of Tahana's people were still imprisoned in Blackstone Fortress's slave market right now. She wanted me to buy them. All of them. At 10,000 nars each, that was roughly 600,000 nars. A massive amount. You know that's not a small sum, I said evenly. Tahana dropped to her knees, forehead pressed to the floor. I know. I'm asking you to do what you can. In return, I swear my absolute loyalty. And every rabbit you rescue will serve you faithfully. I looked at this fluffy creature prostrating herself on my floor, begging for her family, offering everything she had in exchange. I reached down and lifted her up. Fighting for your people at any cost? That's not something to kneel for. That's something to be proud of. Some bonds are worth any price. You're a good leader, Tahana. I'll have Holly purchase your people, her eyes filled with tears. But, I added firmly, I want loyal, orderly citizens. Not troublemakers. Keep them in line. I won't disappoint you, she choked out. Her loyalty score jumped too. Respectful. Same tier as Harold. Maximum commitment unlocked. Which meant, time for another show. More importantly, another player panel for my growing team. Every fruit eater gets an inventory system, which means more portable storage for the territory. Very practical reason. Definitely not just because I enjoy the knighting ceremony. Okay, maybe a little because I enjoy the ceremony. I drew a fine steel sword, looted from the dead raiders, and made my voice echo with authority. Apprentice Knight Tahana, will you swear the knight's oath? Will you pledge your life and loyalty to me, forever? She froze for one heartbeat. She'd watched Harold's ceremony. She knew what came next. She dropped to one knee, paw over her heart. I swear, on the honor of the rabbit folk, eternal loyalty to Lord Wright Lewis. I touched the sword to each shoulder. The ancient ritual, completed by candlelight in a wooden shed. Not exactly a grand cathedral, but the magic didn't care about interior decorating. I pricked my finger, activated my flashy modified illumination spell, golden light, holy sparkles, the whole production, and pulled the dark stalker fruit from my inventory. Tahana ate it without hesitation. Every strand of her white fur stood on end like she'd been struck by lightning. Wild energy surged through her body, then instantly calmed, settling into her like water finding its level. She went from black iron lower straight to black iron upper. One step from bronze. A stealth assassin rabbit with near-perfect memory who was now one rank below a real knight. The rabbit folk had just gotten their own champion, and I'd gained another player in my slowly growing party. Current roster: one transmigrator lord with 2 guns, 1 armored giant knight, 1 ninja bunny, a genius butler, and a territory full of goblins, rabbits, and lizard men who'd stopped trying to escape. Golden Domain was starting to feel like a real kingdom. A weird, furry, undead-adjacent kingdom built on poisonous potatoes and video game mechanics. But a kingdom nonetheless. My lord, this power is incredible, Tahana gasped, first standing on end like she'd licked a battery. She wasn't just stronger. She'd unlocked a magic circuit on top of her existing fighting spirit. In this world, that's supposed to be impossible. One person, one path. Absolute iron rule. You're either a mage or a knight. Never both. But the golden tree fruits apparently don't care about rules. Tahana now had fighting spirit and magic power. She was a walking violation of natural law. Harold had apparently been calling himself a Golden Blessed or Holy Blessed One. Tahana immediately adopted the same title with religious enthusiasm. You truly are beloved by the gods, my lord. Sure. Let's go with that. Definitely gods. Not a video game reward from my past life. Totally divine. I checked her stats. Tahana. Dark Stalker. Black Iron Upper. Constitution, 9. Strength, 8. Agility, 8. Magic, 3. Fighting Spirit, 10. Inventory, 3 cubic meters. Loyalty, 80. Respectful, 3 cubic meters of personal storage. Smaller than Harold's 5, and way smaller than my 7. But still, a rabbit with invisible pockets. Very useful. Tahana, try thinking the words talent tree. She closed her eyes. When she opened them, her jaw dropped. I see it. A giant golden tree floating in darkness. There are gray orbs hanging from the branches. And a number 3 in the corner, just like the game. Talent points from leveling up, spent on skill nodes. The system worked exactly the same in reality. Put 1 point into breath concealment, 1 into faceless one, and 1 into shadow kill, I instructed. Breath concealment completely hides your presence from detection. Faceless one makes people unable to remember your face. Shadow kill, a magic attack that strangles targets through their own shadows. With your rabbit folk natural night vision and your inborn self-concealment abilities, these 3 skills make you a perfect stealth assassin. The Darkstalker class was literally made for your species. The 3 orbs lit up gold on the tree. Tahana shuddered as the knowledge poured directly into her brain. Not learned, not studied, just installed. Like downloading an app straight into your nervous system. This is unbelievable, she whispered, flexing her paws as shadow magic flickered between her fingers. Future talent points come from ranking up. Choose your own skills from now on, but I'm always available for advice, she half knelt. Thank you, my lord. Go practice. Get comfortable with your new powers. She vanished through the door so quietly I almost didn't notice her leave. Good sign, the stealth was already working. Once she was gone, I pulled up my own stats. Right, Lewis. Golden Tree Master, unique. Bronze lower. Constitution, 12. Strength, 13. Agility, 11. Magic, 17. Fighting Spirit, 10. Inventory, 7 cubic meters. Not bad. My magic stat was pulling ahead nicely. I also had the same Darkstalker talent tree as Tahana. Apparently giving away a fruit unlocks its skills for me too, since I'm the tree's master. I got the same 3 abilities she did. I glanced at the empty, natural, fruit slot and sighed. Natural type fruits give you elemental body transformation, turning into fire, water, lightning, that sort of thing. Top tier in-game stuff from the game. But those only appear when the golden tree reaches maturity. Patience, I told myself. Long game. I wrote up a shopping list of rare alchemy ingredients and handed it to Holly. Then I loaded 100 bottles of perfect moonlight tears into Harold's player inventory. The 3 of them, Harold, Holly, and Tahana, would ride to Blackstone Fortress while I stayed behind to manage the territory. The beauty of player inventories. 3 people traveling light as tourists, but carrying enough potions and supplies to stock a small shop. No pack horses needed. No suspicious cargo. Just 3 riders on fast horses. Don't worry, my lord. We'll be back before you know it. Harold's voice boomed with confidence as he mounted up. Holly handed me little Ellie, pinching her daughter's cheek. Master Wright, I'm sorry for the trouble. She can be spirited. Ellie is a perfect angel who would never cause problems for Big Brother Wright, Ellie announced, making a face at her mom. Holly snorted. She better not. Tahana gave her rabbit folk final instructions. Work hard. Do what the Lord says. I'll be back. I watched the 3 of them ride away until they were specks on the horizon. Then I turned toward the forest. We'd cleared a lot of trees for construction, opening up decent farmland. But deeper in, the remaining ogres were still lurking. According to the Lizardman Elder, the late Lizardman Chief had wiped out most of the ogre tribe during his insane rampage, but survivors remained. And winter was coming. When food gets scarce, ogres come looking for it, meaning they'd come looking for us. Can't go hunting them in their own forest. Too big, too dense. Just have to wait for them to come to us. I posted 3 Lizardman sentries near the logging area with simple orders. See anything big and ugly, run back and tell me immediately. That evening, the dining hall smelled amazing, stewed vegetables and golden potato bread. Everyone gathered to eat. Second bro's duck voice cut through the noise. Hey big bro, maybe we should just not go back to the forest. Our old village is destroyed. The ogres ate most of our brothers. There's barely any goblins left out there. Big bro looked up from his soup and glared. Oh, now I'm big bro again. After you got your fancy private room and supervisor job? Second bro laughed nervously, patting big bro's shoulder. Hey, I'm just being practical. We've got food here, beds, and if I work hard for 1 more month, I can earn enough points for a breathing technique. The Lord even promised black iron advancement potions eventually. Then he leaned in and whispered, word is, Tahana got the Lord's blessing. She's a golden blessed now. I can feel how dangerous she's gotten. Big bro's grip tightened on his bowl. He'd sensed it too. Tahana's aura had changed completely. That fluffy rabbit could probably kill him without breaking a sweat now. Third bro looked up with his big dumb honest face. Then I'm definitely staying. I want to become a golden blessed too. And then I'll find those ogres and crush them for what they did to our people. Big Bro thought about the ogres. The ones who destroyed his village, ate his friends, drove his people into slavery. He drained his soup in one gulp. I'm staying too. There might be other goblin tribes deep in the forest, but they're not our people. Those ogres will come out before winter. And when they do, the human lord won't let them walk away. And neither will I. Every goblin in the dining hall nodded. The escape committee? Officially dissolved. Permanently. Turns out the way to earn the loyalty of refugees isn't complicated. Give them food, give them dignity, give them hope, and give them a chance to punch the people who ruined their lives. Golden Domain, now featuring 0 escape plots, 1 ninja rabbit, 1 armored giant, and a cafeteria full of goblins who've discovered the joy of revenge fantasies over dinner. We were getting somewhere. The day after Holly, Harold, and Tahana left, everything went sideways. Because of course it did. The universe has a rule. The moment your best fighters leave town, trouble shows up with a dinner reservation. But first, the forest. Deep in the woods, the surviving ogres were waking up hungry. Their goblin village food supply was picked clean, nothing left but bones. 11 gray-skinned, drooling monsters decided it was time to venture outside. And then, plot twist, an ancient goblin shaman hobbled out of the shadows. This decrepit old creature had somehow tamed the ogres. Like pets. 11 flesh-eating killing machines. And they all stopped moving the instant Grandpa spoke. There's a settlement outside the forest, the shaman croaked. I sense supernatural beings. We wait until tomorrow's full moon. My blessing will make you all stronger. Then we attack. But we're hungry, an ogre whined, pointing at its stomach. The shaman grinned a horrible grin. Don't worry, children. I know where another goblin tribe lives. Follow me. I'll feed you. Great. So there's a goblin necromancer shaman controlling an ogre army in my backyard. That's fine. Everything's fine. Meanwhile, in my territory, Gordon and Blake were lounging in the fields being useless. Standing guard. Gordon chewed on a grass stem. So, when do you think the Lord will bless us with the golden fruit? Blake shrugged. Just stay loyal. We'll get our turn. Then Gordon stood up sharply. Black dots on the horizon. Moving fast. A lot of them. Blake, get every rabbit folk back to camp. Now, the dots were dogfolk soldiers, kobolds from the Beast Alliance. An actual military unit. They'd been sent to kill border lords, but the history fragments had swallowed most of their army. The survivors had been wandering lost for weeks, starving, chewing on tree roots. And they'd stumbled straight into Golden Domain. Gordon hid in the bushes and counted. About 120 dogfolk. Most were regular soldiers, but up front were armored supernatural warriors. He could feel their auras, some were stronger than him. He memorized details and sprinted back to me. My lord, it's bad. Real Beast Alliance troops. Roughly 120 dogfolk. I'm estimating 6 bronze-rank supernaturals. At least 1 bronze mid. My stomach sank. This wasn't like the Raiders. The Raiders were 14 thugs with no organization. This was an actual military unit from a nation that had been at war with humanity for a century. Dogfolk soldiers kill human lords on sight. No negotiation. No surrender. Blood feud going back generations. I used appraisal from a hidden position, 1 bronze mid, 5 bronze lower, 10 black iron. The rest were regular soldiers with no supernatural rank. Head-on fight is suicide, I concluded instantly. Even with my new bronze lower powers and my various tricks, 6 bronze rank enemies plus 100 soldiers was way beyond what Golden Domain could handle, especially with Harold, Holly, and Tahana all gone. But a plan was already forming in my head. Sir, I found cultivated fields nearby. A dogfolk scout came running up to their captain, who was literally eating a tree root. The captain spat out the root and barked orders. Everyone moved to battle stations. They marched to my planting zone and found nothing. The golden potato fields were in their recovery phase, bare dirt covered in manure. The stench hit them like a wall. Several dogfolk sat down in the fertilizer zone and actually sniffed the poop-covered soil, wondering if it was edible. That's how hungry they were. My heart would have gone out to them if they weren't, here to murder everyone I care about. Where there's fields, there's food, the captain declared, and sent scouts in every direction. Half an hour later, a scout returned practically dancing with excitement. Captain, I found a small village. Goblins and rabbit folk. No slave collars. They're just walking around freely. Are there humans? No humans. Dinner time. Boys. 120 starving dogfolk warriors swarmed my settlement, howling loud enough to wake the dead. They surrounded the village in seconds. Old Tehuixu, brave, shaky-eared Tehuixu, stepped forward as the representative. "Excuse me, sir, what can we help you with?" The dogfolk captain looked at this trembling elderly rabbit and sneered. "Give us all your food. Everything. Or we eat you instead." The dogfolk exploded into barking and howling. My rabbit folk and goblins were shaking like leaves, playing the part perfectly. Tehuixu's eyes flickered, just barely, just for a split second, toward the granary door. The captain caught it immediately. "There. Open that building." A dogfolk soldier smashed the door open. Purple golden potatoes rolled out like an avalanche. The entire storehouse was packed full. Tehuixu's ears trembled. "Please, sir, that's our winter food supply. Without it, we'll starve." The captain laughed in his face. "Shut up, or I'll kill you right now. Boys, start cooking." "Dinner is served." 120 dogfolk cheered. They had no idea they'd walked into a trap. Because old Tehuixu? That nervous glance at the granary? That wasn't fear. That was the signal. My plan was beautiful, simple, elegant, a masterpiece of military deception. Step 1. Let the dogfolk find our settlement. Step 2. Let them find the granary full of golden potatoes. Step 3. Let them eat the golden potatoes. See, golden potatoes are made from poison soil potatoes. I know how to process them safely. Boil with the vines, peel, mash, then char grill to remove the last traces of toxin. But if you just roast them raw over a fire like a bunch of hungry idiots, you get poisoned. Badly. I'd already moved everything valuable out of the settlement. Tools, supplies, real food, anything worth keeping. The only thing left was that granary, packed to the ceiling with unprocessed golden potatoes. A giant purple buffet of stomach-destroying agony, gift-wrapped for uninvited guests. Old Tehuixu played his part perfectly. The nervous glance at the granary door? Rehearsed. The trembling ears? Partially real, mostly acting. The tearful begging about our winter food supply? Academy Award material. The dogfolk captain was too arrogant to suspect a thing. He looked at a bunch of shaking rabbits and goblins and saw free food, free shelter, and zero threats. "Eat as much as you want, boys." Oh, they did. They absolutely did. They smashed open the granary walls like animals, fought each other over potatoes, roasted them on sticks over campfires without peeling, without boiling, without any of the steps that make them safe. The smell was incredible, actually. Golden potatoes have this amazing sweet aroma when they cook. Even from my hiding spot, my mouth watered a little. Almost felt bad. Almost. Old Tehuixu stood with the other rabbits and goblins, watching the feast. When the captain told him the Beast Alliance would remember their contribution and take all the remaining food, Tehuixu just smiled sadly and walked away. He told me something earlier that stuck with me. 20 years ago, Alliance soldiers stole his parents' food during a migration. Said the same thing. "The Alliance thanks you." His parents starved to death on the road. "Every soldier is the same," he'd said quietly. "Except you, my lord. You're different." That old rabbit had more courage in his twitching ears than most knights I'd met. Night fell. Full moon. The dog folk were partying, singing, dancing, celebrating their lucky discovery of a fully stocked village. A dogfolk scout reported to the captain, "Sir, the rabbits and goblins left. Good riddance. They know their place. If they'd stayed," he burped, "but they'd never leave again." The dogfolk settled into our houses for the night, bellies full, guard completely down. Then the screaming started. "Brother, does your stomach hurt?" "Mine too." "Oh gods. It's like my insides are twisting." Thud, thud, thud. Dogfolk started dropping like flies, clutching their stomachs, rolling on the ground, howling in agony. The poison was hitting them all at once. Over 100 soldiers writhing in synchronized misery. Some were so delirious with pain that they accidentally clawed open their own stomachs and died on the spot. That was not part of my plan. That was just horrifying. "What the hell is happening?" the captain screamed. "Sir, I think the food was poisoned." The captain's face went white. "Where are the rabbits and goblins?" Everyone shook their heads. We were long gone. That was when things went completely off script. The ground started shaking. 11 ogres burst from the forest like a stampede of nightmare trucks. 3 to 4 meters tall, gray rotting skin, black symbols carved into their flesh, eyes burning with insane, bottomless hunger. And behind them, a skeletal old goblin shaman in tattered robes, cackling like a movie villain. Eat, my children. This is the feast the god of gluttony has provided. What? A goblin shaman? Controlling ogres? With some kind of dark god blessing that made them stronger under the full moon? I did not know about this. Nobody told me there was a crazy cultist grandpa living in my forest with a pet ogre army. This was not in my plan. The ogres slammed into the poisoned dogfolk camp like bowling balls into pins. One swipe of a massive hand sent 5 soldiers flying. Another ogre grabbed a twitching dogfolk and shoved it into its mouth hole. Form up! Form up! The captain was screaming, but most of his soldiers couldn't even stand. Only the supernatural warriors who'd eaten less were still functional. The dogfolk were about 5 feet tall on average. The ogres were 12 feet. It was like watching toddlers fight refrigerators. The ogres swung clubs, and each hit killed multiple soldiers. But the really disturbing part? They were eating the dead as they fought, stuffing corpses into their mouths mid-battle. Their stomachs swelled grotesquely, but they kept going, kept eating, like their hunger was infinite. The captain ordered his remaining bronze-rank warriors to counterattack, but the ogres had gone completely berserk. Weapons pierced their bodies, and they didn't even flinch. They just kept chewing. The shaman's dark blessing had turned them into pain-immune eating machines. From our position outside the camp, Gordon and Blake watched the carnage with their mouths hanging open. My lord, Blake's voice was shaking. Was this part of your plan too? Is that why you had the lizard men scouting the forest? I stood there, hands behind my back, purple hair blowing in the moonlight, red eyes reflecting the fires, and gave them my most enigmatic, all-knowing smile. 3 parts calm confidence, 7 parts mysterious genius. The perfect, I planned everything, expression. Incredible, Blake gasped. You predicted the ogres would attack. You're a genius, truly. The Lord sees 10 steps ahead, Gordon gushed. Meanwhile, inside my head, I was screaming. What is happening? Where did these ogres come from? Who is that goblin grandpa? Why is there a gluttony god involved? My perfectly good poisoning plan just got hijacked by a monster truck rally. My beautiful, poison the dogfolk and mop up the survivors strategy had turned into an all-you-can-eat ogre buffet that I had zero control over. But did I let anyone see my panic? Absolutely not. I am right, Lewis, Lord of Golden Domain, Master of the Golden Tree, and apparently the luckiest idiot alive, because every accident in this territory somehow makes me look like a strategic mastermind. The legend grows, whether I want it to or not. The ogres went to work like they were at an all-you-can-eat buffet, and someone just announced last call. In 30 minutes, 50 paralyzed dogfolk were devoured alive. The poisoned golden potatoes had done their job beautifully. Most soldiers couldn't even stand, let alone fight back. Up on a rooftop, the goblin shaman was having a religious experience. The gods have blessed us, he cackled, watching his ogres feast. He had no idea I'd poisoned the dogfolk. He genuinely thought divine intervention had made his enemies helpless. Buddy, that wasn't your god. That was my cooking. The battle got worse. 3 black iron dogfolk supernaturals started showing poison symptoms and collapsed. The ogres swarmed them instantly. And the ogres were changing. Their mouths ripped open wider than physically possible. Their stomachs ballooned to grotesque sizes. Wounds healed instantly. One ogre got its head split open and grew a second head from the wound, like a flesh hydra made of nightmares. Retreat. Everyone retreat, the dogfolk captain screamed. He turned to run and slammed face first into an invisible black wall. A barrier. The shaman had sealed the entire area. Everything could come in, but nothing could go out. Leaving so soon, the shaman appeared on a rooftop, hunched and grinning. You're all sacrifices to the god of gluttony. The dogfolk captain went white. An evil god worshipper. The worst possible enemy in this world. Quick religion lesson. This world has 7 official gods, each with their own church, the god of fairness and law, the god of nature and life, the god of war and valor, the god of holy light, the god of night and death, the god of sea and storms, the god of chaos and order, plus humanity's unofficial 8th god, the god of steam and machinery, whose church makes all the cool guns I use. Some people say the immortal emperor himself is this god in human form. Nobody's confirmed that, but it would explain a lot. Anyone worshipping gods outside these 8 is an evil god cultist. These people are certifiably insane. They'll sacrifice their own babies, turn cities into meat grinders. Nothing is off limits. And this goblin grandpa was one of them. His story, as I pieced it together, he'd been stuck at bronze upper for years without the silver rank potion to advance. So he turned to the god of gluttony for a shortcut. The ritual required sacrificing 10 creatures that had each consumed over 100 intelligent beings. So he'd spent who knows how long feeding his 11 pet ogres a diet of his own goblin tribes. His own species. Fed them to the monsters like snacks. The lizard man chief's accidental war with the ogres had nearly ruined everything. But tonight, full moon, poisoned dogfolk, helpless victims, everything aligned perfectly for him. The ogres became unkillable. Literally unkillable. The dogfolk captain split one skull open with an axe and watched in horror as the wound grew new flesh and sprouted a fresh head. Another bronze-rank dogfolk was pressed to the ground and slowly absorbed into an ogre's expanding stomach. One by one, all 6 bronze-rank dogfolk warriors were killed and consumed. The captain lasted longest. His final sight was his own legs disappearing into an ogre's belly pouch. Then the shaman began his ceremony. God of gluttony, I praise your name. I offer these sacrifices to your eternal hunger. The black symbols on the ogres lit up and started moving across their skin. All 11 ogres froze, then began melting, dissolving into rivers of black liquid that flowed toward the shaman and poured into his body. Every drop he absorbed made him stronger. His aura climbed. Bronze upper, approaching silver. Gordon and Blake were practically shaking beside me. My lord, when do we move? He's about to reach silver. Not yet, I said calmly. They stared at me like I was insane. Here's what I'd figured out. The shaman had to drop his barrier to fully focus on the breakthrough. As long as the barrier was up, we couldn't get close. And a silver rank mage with a barrier up would be a nightmare to fight. But a mage in the exact moment of breakthrough? When all concentration goes inward. When the barrier drops. When the mind is at its most relaxed. That's not a silver rank threat. That's a sitting duck. Praise the Lord of eternal hunger. God of gluttony, the barrier dissolved. Every ounce of the shaman's power went into the breakthrough. His aura exploded. Silver rank pressure rippled outward like a shockwave. He made it. He was silver. For about 3 seconds. I finally reached. Bang. My bullet hit the back of his skull. Blood sprayed. His triumphant grin froze. Bang. Bang. 2 more shots punched through his body before he could even turn around. He staggered, twisted slowly, and saw me, standing casually, reloading my steam pistol with zero urgency. Behind me, 2 neat rows of goblins and rabbit folk aimed 20 handguns directly at his face. Bang, 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 bang. We didn't stop shooting. Nobody took chances. Every gun emptied into this freshly minted silver rank shaman who'd been so focused on his dramatic monologue that he forgot to put up a single defensive spell. His body looked like Swiss cheese by the time we were done. He died confused. Never saw us coming. Never understood where we came from. Spent years planning the perfect ritual, sacrificed his own people, tamed ogres, worshipped a forbidden god, achieved his lifelong dream of silver rank, and then got Swiss cheesed by a teenager with 2 pistols and a firing squad of bunnies and goblins. I blew imaginary smoke off my gun barrel and looked down at his corpse. Flashy ritual. Big speech. Zero defense. Classic glass cannon move, Grandpa. Maybe don't announce your breakthrough to the entire forest next time. Oh wait, there won't be a next time. The moonlight faded. The camp was silent except for crackling bonfires and groaning poisoned dogfolk. Every major threat that had been haunting my territory, the ogres, the dogfolk army, and the secret cultist living in my forest, all eliminated in a single night. My plan had been simple. Poison the dogfolk with bad potatoes. What actually happened? The dogfolk got poisoned, then ogres showed up and ate them. Then the ogres got sacrificed by a cultist. Then the cultist achieved godlike power. And then I shot him in the back of the head while he was monologuing. Did I plan any of that? About 30% of it. Did everyone think I planned 100% of it? Absolutely. The legend of Wright Lewis. The Lord who sees 10 moves ahead continued to grow, and I continued to have no idea what I was doing. Quick, tie up the poison dogfolk. Feed them boiled golden potato vines to neutralize the toxin. Strip their armor and weapons first. Watch out for any that can still move. Hey, that rabbit just kicked one. Stop it. If you kill it, who's paying for that? My people swarmed the battlefield like the world's angriest cleanup crew. Rabbit folk and goblins hogtied 46 surviving dogfolk soldiers into neat little bundles while they whimpered and groaned. Meanwhile, I strolled over to the shaman's corpse. There he lay, full of holes, frozen expression of absolute disbelief still on his face. Why me? His dead eyes seemed to ask. Because you gave a victory speech before checking your surroundings, Grandpa. That's why. Gordon, ever the helpful one, immediately dug into the body and extracted the magic crystal. A silver rank crystal, glowing with beautiful silver light. Worth more than everything else we'd looted combined. This was exactly why I'd waited. If I'd killed the shaman before his breakthrough, I'd only get a bronze crystal. By letting him complete the ritual, absorbing 11 ogres worth of energy, devouring all those dogfolk crystals, achieving his lifelong dream for exactly 3 seconds, I got a silver crystal instead. Was it risky? Yes. Was it worth it? Absolutely. Blake watched me pocket the crystal and couldn't help asking, "My lord, how did you know the rabbits and goblins wouldn't betray you? You handed them guns and told them to act scared while dogfolk soldiers took their food. They could have sold you out," he quickly added. "I'm not questioning you, sir. It was like gambling everything on their loyalty." I gave him my wisest smile. Simple. The Beast Alliance takes everything from its own people without a second thought. The rabbits and goblins knew those dogfolk wouldn't spare them either way. But more importantly, I paused for dramatic effect. That I trust my people. They would never betray me. And that trust is what creates miracles. Very inspiring. Very noble. The real reason? My appraisal showed everyone was at friendly, loyalty, or higher. At that level, betrayal is statistically near impossible. I wasn't gambling on faith. I was reading a spreadsheet. But I checked the numbers and the math worked out. Doesn't make for good speeches. I rushed back to the golden tree and fed it the silver crystal. The tree shook with excitement. Branches trembling, leaves rustling, making happy gulping sounds. If trees could purr, this one was purring. I broke through to bronze mid. 2 rank ups in a matter of weeks. The power difference was tangible. Everything felt sharper, stronger, more. But I noticed something concerning. The tree's appetite was growing. Higher ranks meant it needed better and more crystals. The free lunch was getting expensive. The good news? 2 fruits appeared this time. Both heroic spirit type. Badai fruit grants transformation into the Warhammer giant. Urkbo fruit grants transformation into the Jaw giant. Same bloodline as Harold's armored giant. 3 giant transformations now in my inventory. I was building an entire giant squad. A Titan force. I knew exactly who was getting these. The next morning, I gathered everyone in the central square. 46 tied-up dogfolk lay in the middle like sad furry logs. Lizard men had gathered around the edges to spectate, eyes wide with curiosity and, I noticed, jealousy. I climbed onto the wooden platform. My dear citizens, yesterday, dogfolk and ogres invaded our home. They wanted to eat our food and then eat us. But because we stood together, we crushed them. Cheers erupted. To celebrate, everyone receives 50 bonus points. The cheers became deafening. In my point system, 1 point equals 1 meal. A full day's work earns 4 points. 50 bonus points meant 12.5 days of free food. Or, more importantly, half the cost of a breathing technique or meditation manual. The supernatural training methods cost 100 points. Everyone had been grinding toward that number for weeks. I just cut their wait time in half. Second bro, now both supervisor and point registrar, because of course he'd collected every possible title, was practically skipping as he added 50 points to everyone's ledger. Old Tahuixu did the same for the rabbit side. The lizard men watched from the sidelines, green with envy. Well, greener than usual. They weren't part of the point system yet because their elder still hadn't fully committed to joining Golden Domain. They got food for work, but no points, no training manuals, no path to supernatural power. I could see younger lizard men shooting annoyed looks at the elder. They wanted in. They wanted points. They wanted to become supernatural beings. But the old reptile was playing it cautious, maintaining tribal independence in case I made a bad decision that dragged everyone down. Smart, honestly. Annoying for me, but smart. I let the cheering die down, then continued. The two men beside me deserve special recognition. Knights Gordon and Blake detected the dogfolk first, making our entire plan possible. Both men were already vibrating with anticipation. They knew what was coming. Therefore, I will advance them to bronze rank immediately, so they can better protect our home. Gordon and Blake dropped to one knee so fast I heard their joints crack. Knight Gordon, Knight Blake, will you swear eternal loyalty to Golden Domain? Will you protect it until your dying breath? I will. I will. Then witness, my people. I raised my voice to maximum dramatic volume. I grant power to the faithful. I grant the loyal a stairway to greater heights. These men today will be all of you tomorrow. The Lewis bloodline will bless every citizen of Golden Domain. I pricked my finger. Blood dropped. I activated my modified illumination spell, Golden Light, Holy Sparkles, Angelic Glow. The crowd gasped. 2 golden fruits materialized in my hands. Definitely from my inventory. Definitely not grown from my blood. But nobody needed to know that. Blake took the Badai fruit. Gordon took the Urkbo fruit. They bit down simultaneously. Energy erupted. Bronze-colored fighting spirit blazed around them like twin bonfires. Their auras surged, black iron shattering, bronze crystallizing, and when it settled, 2 brand-new bronze-rank knights stood before the crowd. The square exploded with cheering, louder than before, louder than anything Golden Domain had ever heard. I now had 3 bronze-rank knights, 3 giant transformations, an armored giant, a warhammer giant, and a jaw giant. Any army that came at Golden Domain would face a 7-meter metal warrior, a walking siege weapon, and a monster that could literally bite through fortifications. I stood on my platform, bathed in fading golden light, looking down at my cheering citizens, goblins pounding their chests, rabbits stomping their feet, lizardmen trying very hard to pretend they weren't impressed, and thought to myself, not bad for a guy who started with 2 pistols, 0 horses, and a swamp. Not bad at all. The Lizardman Elder watched Gordon and Blake light up with bronze-rank fighting spirit, and I could practically hear his brain short-circuiting. His grayscales twitched. His old heart was pounding. I could see the internal crisis happening in real time. Should I really keep playing the independent tribe card when this human lord is handing out superpowers like candy? The younger lizardmen had already made up their minds. They were done listening to the cautious old reptile. They wanted points. They wanted training manuals. They wanted to become supernatural beings. And the only thing standing between them and all of that was one stubborn grandpa who kept saying, "Let's wait and see." Sorry, Elder. Your people are about to unionize against you. But that was his problem. I had work to do. Now, the dog folk, I announced from my platform. They came here to steal our food and leave us to die. Therefore, I'm making them slaves of Golden Domain. Nobody objected. Mercy is nice in theory. Starvation is nicer to avoid. They will work to pay for their crimes. I'm appointing 4 supervisors to manage them. Big Bro, Third Bro, Rabbit Wool, Rabbit Evan. Step forward. The 4 of them marched out like soldiers at a promotion ceremony. 5 points per day, 12 dogfolk each. Fair treatment. No beatings for fun, but no slacking allowed either. Yes, my lord. Big Bro's loyalty had gone through the roof after the ogre situation. The creatures that destroyed his village, ate his friends, and ruined his life, gone. All of them. And even though it happened mostly by accident, he attributed it entirely to my brilliant planning. I now had 46 dogfolk laborers. That meant expanded golden potato fields on the east side, new irrigation channels, and, here's what I was really excited about, a stone quarry. Real stone for real buildings. The wooden shack era was ending. The dogfolk got to live in our old temporary shelters. No private rooms. No point system. No path to freedom. They came to eat us, so they got the economy package. I assigned my giant knights to construction duty. Gordon's Warhammer giant could flatten terrain and move boulders. Blake's jaw giant could literally bite through rock formations. Harold's armored giant was already my designated bulldozer. 3 giant transformations, all doing landscaping. Most terrifying construction crew in history. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away, my trade delegation was arriving at Blackstone Fortress. Holly, Harold, and Tahana, Dusty, exhausted and desperately needing a bath, stared up at the massive gray walls. "Hotel first," Holly commanded. "We wash, we dress properly, then we do business. We represent Golden Domain. We are not showing up to negotiations looking like road bandits." Tahana was wearing a fake slave collar to avoid attention. A rabbit folk walking freely in a human fortress would raise too many questions. Holly looked at Tahana gently. "Don't worry. Once the deal is done, we go straight to the slave market for your people." Tahana's ears trembled. "Thank you, big sister Holly." Harold scratched his filthy beard. "Can we at least hit the tavern after? I haven't had a drink in weeks." Cleaned up and dressed in proper noble servant attire, Holly marched into the Iris Flower Trading Company like she owned the place. The trading house manager, Beaufort, a friendly-looking man, sat across from her while old Gale the appraiser examined the Moonlight Tears samples. The old man dripped a few drops onto a test model, a flesh wound simulator made by the Church of Life. The wound healed in seconds. Visibly, dramatically. "This is superior to the Church of Life's dawn dew," Gale exclaimed. "Your lord is an extraordinary individual." When Holly flashed my family crest, Beaufort practically jumped out of his chair. He remembered me, the mysterious noble who'd sold them the seed green frog fruit, which they'd later flipped to a capital city count for a fortune. 3,000 nars per bottle, Holly said, sipping tea like a queen. Non-negotiable. Healing potions this effective are rare, and with the war escalating and history fragments everywhere, demand will only increase. Beaufort nodded. Reasonable. Then he pushed. "Could we perhaps secure exclusive distribution rights?" Holly put down her teacup. "That's a different price. 3,500 per bottle. You never reveal Golden Domain as your supplier." "Agree, and we sign today." Beaufort's eyebrows shot up. Then he smiled. He'd expected a messenger. He'd gotten a negotiator. Deal. The Iris Flower Trading Company's reputation is built on discretion. He was already calculating. Exclusive rights meant he could resell at 4,000 nars. A 3,500 cost was perfectly acceptable. Now here's the math that made me do a happy dance when I heard about it later. Each bottle of Moonlight Tears cost me about 300 nars in materials. Holly sold them for 3,500 each. 100 bottles equals 350,000 nars profit, plus the 570,000 from the dead Raiders' bank checks. Holly was sitting on nearly 1 million nars. She also negotiated a long-term supply contract. Golden Domain delivers minimum 300 bottles per month, and the trading company buys every bottle, no questions asked. 300 bottles times 3,500 nars equals over 1 million nars of monthly revenue. From potions that cost me 300 each to make. I had accidentally created a pharmaceutical empire. Holly was worth 10 of me in a negotiation room. 10 of me in an apron, even. She'd turned my garage chemistry project into a legitimate business with recurring revenue, exclusive contracts, and brand protection. I should give her a raise. I should give her 10 raises. As Holly's team left, Beaufort sighed admiringly. If I'd known that woman was this talented, I would have recruited her myself. That young lord has quite the eye for people. Old Gale nodded, remembering my elegant and confident performance from months ago. Indeed. Then Beaufort picked up a bottle of Moonlight Tears and turned to Gale with a businessman's grin. "So, can you reverse engineer the ingredients?" Gale shook his head. "I tasted it. Can't identify anything. I suspect the Lord diluted the formula specifically to prevent analysis. The full-strength version is probably even more potent." Beaufort nodded. "Take 10 bottles. Figure out the recipe. The healing potion market is too big to depend on one supplier. Sorry, Beaufort. I invented this potion using knowledge from the future. Your best alchemist could study those bottles for 100 years and never crack it. But hey, good luck. I appreciate the business." While I was back home playing potato farmer and giant construction manager, my trade team was making moves in Blackstone Fortress. Holly walked into the slave market and dropped 500,000 nars like it was pocket change. "I'll take all the rabbit folk. Every single one. 54 rabbits. The entire stock. Cleaned out." When the rescued rabbits saw Tahana standing outside their cells, the panic drained from their faces instantly. Their leader was here. They were going to be okay. Tahana looked at every familiar face and let out the deepest breath I think she'd ever taken. "Don't worry. We're free." Holly thanked the slave market manager, the same guy who'd originally connected her with me. "Mr. Zavani, I wouldn't have found my lord without your help. He waved it off with a genuine smile. It was the god of fairness and law guiding us both. Holly asked him to clean up the rabbits, feed them a good dinner, and have them ready by morning in top condition. He agreed without hesitation. Say what you want about slave traders. This one ran a professional operation. With the rabbits secured, Tahana finally relaxed. Her ears started doing that happy twitchy dance, and honestly, adorable. Next, the shopping spree of a lifetime. 3 months of dried meat and grain for the entire territory. Over 100 sets of durable work clothes. 2 spare noble outfits for me, because a lord has to look good. Winter blankets. A mountain of cleaning supplies. And most importantly, my alchemy ingredients. Holly followed my shopping list exactly. Moonlight Tears materials were included, but nobody except me knew the recipe. As I told Holly, this potion is centuries ahead of its time. Absolute secrecy. I'd also told her to buy any black market magic crystals she could find. And one final instruction: spend everything. Nars were useless inside Golden Domain. We had no shops, no economy, no place to spend money. Better to convert cash into supplies. Holly's massive purchases, however, attracted some very unwanted attention. Mercenaries with greedy eyes started following them around the marketplace. Harold noticed immediately and rested his hand on his sword hilt, silently telling them to back off. They didn't back off. That night, in some grimy tavern, the Firewolf Mercenary Company was having a meeting. "Boss, I checked," a lackey reported to their leader, a rough-looking bronze upper warrior. "That woman only has one guard. Harold. He's just a black iron upper apprentice knight. No other escorts. She bought nearly 500,000 Nars worth of goods. We could eat for 2 years off that haul." The Firewolf boss grinned like a predator. One black iron bodyguard spending that kind of money? Harold's either stupid or suicidal. Keep eyes on them. That sheep is OURS. Oh, buddy. You have no idea what Harold is now. Next morning, Holly's caravan departed at dawn. 54 freshly cleaned rabbits in neat linen clothes. A few small carts. And apparently, way less cargo than anyone expected. The Firewolf spy was confused. She bought enough to fill 20 wagons, but I only see 3 carts? Where's all the stuff? In Harold's magical invisible video game inventory. And Tahana's too. Hundreds of thousands of Nars worth of supplies stored in pocket dimensions that don't physically exist. No wagons needed. No suspicious cargo. Just 3 riders and some rabbits who looked like they were going for a light stroll. But the spy didn't know that, so he followed anyway. Harold sensed the tale almost immediately. "We've got company," he told Holly. "Probably rogue mercenaries." Holly frowned. "Should we go back and hire protection?" Harold thought it over. "Not yet. Let's see how many and how strong. I doubt there's anyone silver rank. We're not worth that level of attention." He was right. Silver rank fighters don't waste time robbing travelers. They're VIPs everywhere they go. The worst they'd face was bronze rank mercs. Tahana stepped up. "Let me handle it." Harold nodded. He'd sparred with her. He knew what she could do now. "I'll wait at the fog zone. If it goes wrong, run to me. Don't try to be a hero. Relax." She grinned and wheeled her horse around. For mercenary scouts saw a lone rabbit folk riding toward them. No supernatural aura detected. Just a fluffy bunny on a horse. "It's a rabbit. Kill her," one laughed, firing a signal flare to call the rest of the company. Tahana's eyes went cold. At 50 meters, she activated Shadow Kill. Every mercenary's shadow came alive. Dark tendrils erupted from the ground, wrapping around legs, arms, torsos, yanking all 4 riders off their horses simultaneously. Crash, 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 crash. They hit the dirt before they understood what happened. One tried to stand. His own shadow formed a giant hand around his throat. Snap. Neck broken. Dead. Another was still crawling out from under his horse when Tahana charged, fighting spirit channeled into her mount, turning horse and rider into a living cannonball. The horse's hooves came down on his spine like a hammer on glass. 2 left, both frantically trying to free their ankles from shadow bindings. This is magic. How does a rabbit have fighting spirit and magic? That's impossible. Tahana didn't bother answering. She just rode them down. 2 more sets of hoof prints. 2 more bodies. For mercenaries. 10 seconds. 0 difficulty. Tahana pulled her horse to a stop and looked at the carnage with a bored expression. 1 at my level, 3 below. Easier than I expected. She thought about me, about my confident smile when I'd given her this power, and muttered, "If the power he gave me is this strong, how powerful is he?" Very flattering to Hana. The answer is, not nearly as strong as you think, but please keep believing that. She noticed 4 perfectly good warhorses standing around with no owners. Well, at least I got 4 free horses out of it. Not a wasted trip. She tied them together and trotted off toward the fog zone, ears bouncing happily. Somewhere behind her, the Firewolf Mercenary Company's signal flare was burning in the sky. Their reinforcements would arrive to find 4 dead scouts, no targets, and 0 explanation. And they would never find out what happened, because Tahana's Faceless One ability meant none of the dead men could even remember what she looked like. My ninja bunny was officially operational, and I wasn't even there to see it. I was back home, arguing with goblins about where to dig a latrine. Leadership is delegating the cool stuff to people who are better at it than you. While I was back home managing dogfolk prisoners and arguing about latrine placement, my team was having the time of their lives. The Firewolf Mercenary Company found their 4 scouts stripped completely naked. And I mean completely. Tahana didn't even leave their underwear. One guy apparently had very impressive equipment. His boss was not happy about seeing that on full display. "Who are the real bandits here?" the Firewolf captain screamed at the sky. His scout reported, "Boss, only 1 attacker. On horseback." Harold probably broke through to bronze. "Bronze?" the captain spat. "So what? We have 2 bronze fighters. Chase them." 8 mercenaries rode off in pursuit. Their captain was bronze upper, genuinely dangerous. He was already planning what to do with Harold's severed head. A chamber pot, apparently. Classy guy. Tahana's rabbit ears picked up the pursuit from miles away. "They're coming again. More this time." Harold put down his skewer of roasted meat, because of course he was casually grilling during a chase, and squinted at the horizon. Firewolf Mercenary Company. Old friends. 2 bronze ranks. "I'll handle this one." He didn't mount a horse. He just started walking toward 8 charging cavalry. The Firewolf saw this and burst out laughing. His scout says Harold is only bronze lower. He thinks he can take all of us alone? His brain broke when he ranked up. Kill him. And after, the male rabbits are mine. I call dibs. We share. Really charming group of individuals. At 15 meters, the captain pulled up and sneered down from his horse. "What's this, Harold?" "Surrendering." Harold shook his head calmly. "Actually, I'm here to ask you to surrender. And honestly, I'm mostly worried about your horses. They don't deserve what's about to happen. Kill him. Chop him into paste." The captain drew his great sword and charged. Harold didn't draw his weapon. Instead, he flipped his sword around and cut his own palm. "Let me show you something." Giant power, flash, blinding white light, roaring steam. A shock wave of superheated air blasted every rider off their horse. When the light cleared, a 7-meter armored colossus stood where Harold had been. The armored giant's palm came down on the nearest apprentice mage like a fly swatter. What was left wasn't identifiable as human, or anything really. One kick sent an apprentice knight flying so far and so fast that he basically became a meteorite. He hit the ground in pieces. What? What is this? The firewolves stared up at 7 meters of living metal and collectively lost their minds. Harold didn't give them time to process. He had maybe 3 minutes of transformation before it ran out. No time for dramatic speeches. He targeted the captain first. One massive foot rising overhead. The firewolf captain, the big tough bronze upper warrior who'd been cracking jokes about chamber pots 5 minutes ago, looked up at a building-sized foot descending toward him and experienced what scientists call complete psychological collapse. He turned to run. Stomp. Meat paste. The end. And oh, the vice captain saw his boss die like a stepped-on grape and completely lost it. He spurred his horse into a full gallop, screaming over his shoulder. "Screw you, Harold. Stop chasing me." Harold kept coming. The vice captain wheeled around in desperation. "Fine. Come on then. I'll fight you." He channeled every ounce of his fighting spirit into one massive attack. Golden holy slash. A crescent of golden energy that screamed through the air toward the giant's chest. It did absolutely nothing. Like throwing a paper airplane at a tank. The giant caught him in one hand. "Mercy. Harold, please. I'm sorry. I'll never do it again." Squish. 4 survivors ran for their lives. Harold had time for one more. He leaped, landed next to a fleeing black iron mercenary, and flattened him with an open palm. Then the transformation expired. 3 mercenaries escaped. Which, honestly, best marketing I never planned. Those 3 survivors spread the legend of Harold the Giant Knight across every tavern and back alley in Blackstone Fortress. Within days, his name was the scariest thing in the mercenary world. Harold collected 2 magic crystals from the dead bronze ranks, stripped the bodies clean. Apparently that's team policy now, thanks to Hana, and noticed 3 abandoned horses. Not bad. 3 free horses. Between him and Tahana, my trade delegation had acquired 7 bonus horses just from people trying to rob them. The trip was profitable even before counting the potion sales. Tahana greeted him with genuine admiration. Mr. Harold, that was incredible. They were white as ghosts. Harold wiped sweat off his forehead. Nothing special. Mess with the Lord's property, pay the price. Let's move before we attract more attention. Meanwhile, I was back in Golden Domain dealing with far less glamorous problems. A few dogfolk prisoners decided they'd rather die fighting than work as slaves. Noble sentiment. Wrong choice. I had them executed and moved on. Look, I'm not heartless, but I'm responsible for 100+ people now. If a prisoner attacks a guard, threatens my citizens, or tries to sabotage operations, that's a threat to everyone's survival. I don't enjoy it. But the Lord of Golden Domain can't afford to be soft when lives are at stake. The obedient dogfolk, seeing what happened to the rebels, suddenly became very enthusiastic about manual labor. Funny how that works. Their addition actually boosted construction speed way beyond my projections. We were building houses, quarrying stone, expanding farms. The whole territory was transforming. My only frustration? I couldn't use my skeleton magic. Having an army of undead workers would be amazing for construction, but I couldn't exactly summon skeletons in front of my people. Oh hey, your noble lord who claims divine bloodline? Yeah, he also does necromancy. The most forbidden magic in existence. No big deal. Hard pass on that PR disaster. I looked up at the graying sky and felt the temperature dropping. Winter was coming. That meant 3 things. Beast Alliance raids would increase, forest monsters would get desperate and aggressive, and displaced tribes might wander into my territory looking for shelter. I needed to speed up everything. More houses, stronger defenses, bigger food reserves, more firewood. My people were not going to freeze or starve this winter. And who knows, maybe some of those wandering refugees would bring useful skills or interesting species. In this world, winter doesn't just bring cold. It brings change. Golden Domain needed to be ready for whatever walked out of that snow. With the ogres gone, it was time to fill my territory with actual people. Well, people-adjacent beings. I sent Big Bro on a special mission. Go back into the forest and find any surviving goblins. 4 days later, he came back with 37 new recruits, 26 regular small goblins, and 11 big great goblins. Only 7 were female goblins, which surprised me until I learned the math. 1 mother goblin can birth at least 5 babies. As long as the mothers survive, goblins are basically immortal as a species. And here's the biology fact that broke my brain. Great goblins, those massive, muscular brutes, come out of regular-sized mother goblins. How? That's like fitting a watermelon through a garden hose. I decided to never think about this again. I gave the new goblins temporary citizen status. Work for 3 months, cause 0 trouble, earn permanent citizenship. Simple deal. Then Blake ran up to me while I was planning irrigation channels. My lord, Harold's team is back, and they brought a lot of rabbits. I grabbed Ellie, who'd been running around the fields like a feral puppy. Ellie, your mom's home. Why? Mommy, Harold knelt the moment he saw me. Mission complete. My lord, Holly gave me the full report. The trading deal, the fire wolf attack, Tahana's shadow massacre, Harold's giant rampage. Everything had gone better than planned, except for the parts involving attempted robbery, which had gone even better than planned because we got free horses out of it. The 54 rescued rabbit folk reunited with Tahana's group, and the emotions were a lot. Hugging, crying, rapid-fire storytelling. I let them have their moment. I kept the new rabbit slave collars on, though. Sounds harsh, but hear me out. I paid 500,000 nars for them. They needed to work off that debt before earning full citizen status. Fair is fair. Even freedom has paperwork. Then, finally, the lizard man elder came crawling up to me. I'd been wondering when this old reptile would crack. He'd been playing the independent tribe carved for weeks while watching goblins, rabbits, and even dogfolk get integrated into my territory. His own young lizard men were practically staging a mutiny over his stubbornness. He prostrated himself, flat on the ground, full body, face in the dirt. My lord, the lizard men wish to become your sharpest sword and strongest shield. Please formally accept the Grayscale tribe as your citizens. From this day forward, we follow only your commands. I leaned back in my chair and smiled. Oh, I thought you'd already submitted to me. He looked up, panic in his old eyes. This is different, my lord. From today, whatever you command, we obey. You may decide the life and death of every lizard man. Even if you order the entire tribe to march to their deaths. I waved my hand. Relax. I'm not a tyrant. I won't send you on suicide missions. You'll join the point system like everyone else. Same rules apply. I laid out Golden Domain's entire legal code, which currently consisted of 2 rules. Rule 1. Disputes get settled by species supervisors first. If that fails, I decide. Rule 2. Don't destroy Golden Domain property. No stealing, no assault, no forcing yourself on anyone. 0 tolerance. The elder agreed instantly. Not exactly a tough legal framework to accept. Then I asked for the tribe's real numbers. 98 lizard men, my lord, 98. This sneaky old reptile had been underreporting his population this whole time. He'd told me 67 before. I docked him 80 bonus points as punishment. Light sentence. But the message was clear, don't lie to your lord. I did a full census of Golden Domain. 6 humans, me, Holly, Ellie, Harold, Gordon, Blake. 98 lizard men. 21 great goblins. 26 regular goblins. 74 rabbit folk. 40 dog folk slaves. Total, nearly 300. 1 month ago, the population was 1. Just me. Standing in an empty field. I started humming a little tune. Couldn't help it. A few days later, I was in my alchemy lab staring at 2 beautiful vials. I'd finally cracked the black iron advancement potions. 1 for the magic path, 1 for the night path. These potions could awaken supernatural power in any intelligent being. Mass production meant I could create an army of supernaturals from my ordinary citizens. Better make 100 of each, just to be safe, I muttered, already calculating ingredient costs. Then Holly's voice cut through my concentration, and she sounded urgent. Holly never sounds urgent. Holly sounds like an iceberg that learned to talk. If SHE was panicking, something serious was happening. I threw open the door. My lord, creatures have emerged from the forest. They call themselves Black Spider People. They're requesting an audience. I followed Holly to the forest edge, where my knights were already in a standoff with the visitors. 9 Black Spider People stood in a line. And holy nightmare fuel. From the waist down, giant spider bodies. 8 thick legs supporting massive thoraxes. From the waist up, human female torsos, wrapped in silk threads for modesty. Each one stood over 2 meters tall. And their faces, human-shaped, but the eyes were clusters of tiny eyeballs packed together like grapes. Behind them were 11 regular black spiders with no human parts. Baby spiders, basically, or pre-evolution forms. Once they hit supernatural rank, they'd grow the human half too. I knew about Black Spider People from the game. All female. No males in the species. They reproduce on their own at a certain age, laying a dozen eggs at a time. Their society runs on pure strength, not family bonds. And here's the disturbing part. When food gets scarce, they eat their own eggs. Or their young children. Mother of the Year, every year. I used appraisal, 3 bronze rank, 6 black iron. Decent fighting force. Not overwhelming. I straightened my spine, put on my most lordly expression, and spoke with authority. I am the Lord of Golden Domain. State your purpose. The lead spider, a bronze rank named Agnes, stepped forward and bowed. Very polite for a giant spider woman. Respected human lord, we live in the forest beyond your territory. Our mistress, the spider mother of Madeline, is delighted to have a new neighbor. She holds a royal land deed as well, and wishes to invite you to her domain as a guest. She hopes to build a deep friendship, right? The spider lady who eats her own babies wants to be my friend. I almost wrote, I believe you, in sarcasm across my forehead. She probably wanted to kill me, steal my land deed, and absorb my territory. Standard neighbor behavior in this world. But I didn't refuse outright. Never slam a door you might need later. Visiting your territory won't be necessary, I said smoothly. But since we're neighbors, let's meet on our shared border. 3 days from now, we'll finalize the location as we approach. Neutral ground. Equal footing. No walking into a spider's literal web. Basic survival strategy. Agnes nodded. As you wish. I will relay your response to the spider mother. She turned, and her entire delegation vanished into the forest on 8 legs each, moving with terrifying speed and silence. I watched them go, then looked at Harold. Harold looked at me. We shared a moment of mutual understanding that roughly translated to giant spider women who eat their own. Children want to have dinner with us, and that's definitely not suspicious at all. 3 days to prepare for a meeting with a spider queen who probably wants me dead. Just another Tuesday in Golden Domain. My lord, are you really going? Holly's worried eyes could have melted steel. I smiled and flipped my purple hair. Relax. You're forgetting. I can teleport anywhere on my territory using the land deed. If things go bad, I'm gone in a blink. Harold stepped forward, fighting spirit already warming up. I'm coming with you. Gordon and Blake volunteered too. Tahana offered to shadow us invisibly. My entire night squad wanted in. I thought for a second and made assignments. Tahana hides in the shadows behind us. Harold walks with me up front. Gordon and Blake wait nearby as backup. Nobody does anything unless I say so. We're gathering information, not starting a war. Then I went back to my lab because I had 3 days and a very special project. See, among Holly's supply purchases was a batch of special metals that, unknown to anyone in this era, could be combined into supernatural explosives. Nobody had discovered this recipe yet. Nobody except a guy who played the game. I spent 3 days crafting what the game community lovingly called art is explosion, magical bombs. Because you never go to a Spider Queen's dinner party without party favors. Deep in the forest, the Spider Mother's territory was exactly as nightmarish as I'd expected. Dead trees wrapped in white webs. A kingdom built from silk and bones. Very on-brand for a giant spider lady. Agnes, the polite bronze-rank spider who'd visited me, was briefing her boss on everything she'd learned about Golden Domain, including the fact that my scouts couldn't detect any supernatural power from me personally. The Spider Mother's eyes gleamed with hunger. A human lord with no combat power? Christmas came early for the spider people. Prepare a feast, the Spider Mother ordered. Sweet fruits. Appetizers. Make our little neighbor feel welcome. Agnes bowed and left, but I found out later she wasn't thrilled about any of this. She'd once met a human bard who'd wandered into the forest, a sickly poet who told her stories about lordly wars, victory celebrations, cheering crowds. Stories that made her dream of something bigger than a web full of corpses. The poet died before spring, left behind half a book of handwritten notes. Agnes kept it. Sad story. Filed away for later. 3 days later, Harold and I walked into the forest. Tahana melted into the shadows behind us, completely undetectable. 3 hours of hiking brought us to a clearing. A rough wooden table sat in the center, loaded with colorful fruits and raw animal carcasses. Not cooked, not prepared, just gutted and plopped on the table, blood pooling around them. Spider fine dining. Absolutely charming. The table was positioned exactly on the border between our 2 territories, so both of us stayed within our own land deed range. Smart positioning. If either of us needed to teleport home, we could. The Spider Mother was waiting, and she was a lot, twice the size of a normal black spider person, covered in scars. A face that could curdle milk from 50 meters. Behind her stood 20 supernatural spider warriors, webs already glistening on their fingertips. I used appraisal. Silver lower. The strongest being I'd encountered since arriving in this world. A genuine silver rank powerhouse who could squash me like a spider squashes things. Ironic. The Lord of Golden Domain. She looked down at me with cold, predatory eyes. So young. Agnes wasn't exaggerating. Her spider legs were trembling, not from fear, but from barely contained excitement. Young meant weak. Weak meant edible. I ignored the crushing pressure of her aura and nodded politely. Right, Lewis, Lord of Golden Domain, noble of the Drayton Kingdom. What did you wish to discuss? She pushed a wooden cup of fruit juice toward me. No rush. Try our local specialty. I simply wished to build friendly relations between neighbors. I appraised the cup. Poisoned frog saliva. I appraised the fruits. Laced with lethal toxins. I appraised the raw meat. Poison. Poison. More poison. Everything on this table could kill a horse. You know what? I almost respected the effort. These forest-dwelling species had zero experience with political intrigue. In civilized society, poisoning is done with subtlety. A trace amount in one dish, a slow-acting agent that takes days. But the spider mother just drenched everything in venom like she was seasoning a salad. When your idea of a clever scheme is, put poison in literally every item on the table, you've got the spirit but not the technique. Not eating, I said flatly. It's poisoned. Dead silence. The spider mother's killing intent erupted like a volcano. 20 spider warriors raised their hands, webs materializing between their fingers. She raised one leg, and they froze. How did you know? Her voice was half curious, half furious. Poisoning was her signature move. She'd killed enemies stronger than herself with it. Nobody had ever detected it before. Sure. One question for one question, I offered. Deal. Are you the strongest in spider territory? She scoffed. Only you humans let weaklings become lords. We black spiders follow the law of strength. Good. She was the final boss. No hidden super spider waiting in the back. Your turn. How did you detect my poison? I looked her dead in her cluster of creepy eyeballs and smiled. I don't feel like telling you. Her face contorted with rage. You, seeking death? Webs exploded around her. Her spider warriors tensed. The clearing crackled with hostile energy. And that was my cue. I raised my hand. The royal land deed materialized in my palm. Golden light shining through the forest shadows. I, Right Lewis, Lord of Golden Domain, invoke. The right of lords war against you by the authority of the royal land deed. Spider Mother Amadaline, Lord of Spider Territory, do you accept? Lord's War. An ancient challenge between land deed holders. Winner takes everything. The loser's territory, their deed, their people. It was the ultimate gamble, built into the very fabric of the world's power structure. The spider mother stared at me for 1 second. Then she burst into cackling, screeching laughter. Accept? Of course I accept. Human boy, today is the day you die. Her own land deed erupted from her chest. A golden page covered in web-like patterns. The two deeds glowed, pulling toward each other, hungry to merge into one. 2 lords, 2 territories, 1 fight. Winner takes all. I stood there, 5 feet 8, 150 pounds, bronze mid-rank, holding a glowing piece of paper, facing a silver-rank spider queen twice my size who'd been killing things longer than I'd been alive. Every rational calculation said I should lose. Good thing I brought bombs. Let me explain how Lord's War works, because it's insane. When 2 land deed holders declare war, both territories get locked in a space barrier. Nobody leaves. No teleporting. It only ends when one lord kills the other. If neither wins within a month, both get cursed with escalating bad luck until someone dies. It's basically a cage match for kings. 2 enter, 1 leaves. I challenged a silver-rank spider queen who outweighed me by about 800 pounds and outranked me by 2 full tiers. Why? Because I had a plan. And bombs. Mostly bombs. Traditional rules, I announced. Full territorial warfare. 6 hours to prepare. Battle ends when one side surrenders or is completely defeated. The winner strips the loser's power and life force, and all subjects must unconditionally obey the victor. The spider mother was thrilled. Arrogant little human. I accept. Our 2 land deeds floated into the air, merged into a single glowing contract, and recorded the terms in ancient runes. We both signed in blood. Done deal. No take-backs. Then we went our separate ways to prepare. On the walk back, Harold asked, "My lord, do you have a plan?" I shushed him. Not here. Not in the forest. Spiders have ears everywhere. 3 hours later, we emerged from the trees, and I immediately started barking orders. Holly, the catapults. Are they ready? Holly winced. We only finished 11. No wheels. They can't move easily. 11 stationary catapults built from game-era blueprints that nobody in this world had ever seen. Not great mobility, but I only needed them to throw things. Very specific things. That's enough. Call everyone. Full assembly. War is coming. Holly's face went white, and she sprinted off to mobilize the entire territory. Meanwhile, in spider territory, the spider mother was interrogating Agnes. "You're sure there's no silver rank in Golden Domain?" Agnes confirmed. I observed for 3 days using my invisibility. The strongest is a bronze lower knight. Agnes had a special bloodline, ancient dark spider, that gave her perfect nighttime invisibility at bronze upper rank. She was the spider mother's best scout, and she'd seen everything. Well, almost everything. She'd observed Golden Domain before I gave Gordon and Blake their giant fruits. And she couldn't detect my bronze mid-power because of the golden tree's concealment effect. As far as she knew, I was a powerless noble with one mediocre bodyguard. The spider mother heard my territory had fewer than 300 people, including only 6 humans, and nearly choked. Is that human lord attracted to non-humans? She muttered suspiciously. Apparently some humans had charged into spider territory before, screaming about monster girl harems and wanting to collect spider women. This world has some very strange people. The spider mother dismissed any concerns. His only cards are his knights. Laughable. When numbers reach a certain point, individual strength doesn't matter. Sheer volume is violence. She mobilized her entire force, 1,800 total black spiders, 30 black iron supernaturals, 11 bronze supernaturals, 1 silver, herself. Combat-ready forces, 1,200. 1,200 versus my 300. 4-to-1 odds. A silver rank commander. 41 supernatural fighters. On paper, I was dead meat. The 6-hour preparation window ended. Any movement from the human? The spider mother asked. Agnes shook her head. They pulled everyone back from the forest edge. They don't seem to be attacking. Then we attack. My children. Kill them all. Kill them all. The spider army roared back. Agnes tried to be smart. My lady, the forest is our advantage. Maybe wait 2 days. Observe their defenses. The spider mother turned on her with icy cold eyes. Are you telling me what to do? Agnes trembled. And no, my lady. I just thought. Don't think. Fight. Fair enough. Subtlety wasn't exactly this lady's forte. Then a scout rushed in. My lady, skeleton soldiers have appeared scattered throughout the forest. At least 30. The spider mother laughed. So he's a necromancer. That's his secret weapon? Skeleton trash? Destroy them. Yeah, about those skeletons. Here's what I'd been doing during the preparation phase. Sneaking through the forest using my land deed knowledge of the terrain, summoning every skeleton I could, and strapping each one with a special package. My newest alchemical creation, art, is explosion. Magical bombs made from metals that nobody in this era knew could be combined. Each skeleton was a walking IED. A suicide bomber that was already dead. But the spider mother didn't know that. She just saw weak undead and laughed. Meanwhile, Tahana was doing her part, silently assassinating spider scouts using shadow kill, then watching in shock as I turned the fresh corpses into more skeletons. Each new skeleton got its own bomb and shambled off into the forest. Tahana had some feelings about discovering her lord was a necromancer. This is like finding out your boss is secretly a serial killer, she thought. But, an ethical serial killer? The skeletons aren't evil. The Lord isn't evil. Evil necromancers are evil. This is fine. He probably just wanted to learn extra spells. Totally normal. I support this. The mental gymnastics were impressive. But hey, loyalty is a powerful drug. The spider army surged out of the forest, 300 black spiders as the vanguard, flooding toward my territory like a dark tide. When they encountered my skeletons, a spider warrior casually punched one to pieces. Is this what the human lord is sending? Tickle fighters? Everyone laughed. Another spider woman reached for a charging skeleton, ready to swat it aside. The skeleton exploded on contact. The blast wave incinerated every spider within the kill radius. The spider woman who touched it was vaporized, green blood and leg fragments raining down like confetti from hell. Every spider in a 50-foot radius stopped laughing. My skeleton bomb strategy was simple. Send expendable undead packed with explosives into the enemy formation. They're already dead, so they don't care about dying. They don't feel fear. They don't retreat. They just walk forward until someone touches them. And in a forest full of trees and webs, the explosions would cause chain reactions. Fire plus spider silk equals very bad news for spiders. 30 walking bombs, scattered across the forest approach routes. Welcome to Golden Domain. Mind the skeletons. My skeleton bomb strategy worked exactly as planned. Well, mostly. The first explosion vaporized a cluster of spiders and sent the survivors scrambling. Then a brave spider woman smashed the second skeleton and nothing happened. No boom. She looked confused. Was it just a fluke? Other spiders got brave. Surrounded the third skeleton. Touched it. Boom. Half the squad, gone. See, this was the genius part. I didn't put explosives on all the skeletons. I couldn't afford to. So some explode, some don't. The spiders never knew which was which. It was Russian roulette with walking bones. The result? Total psychological warfare. After a few rounds of, maybe boom, maybe not, the spiders refused to go near any skeleton. They'd see a single bone fragment on the ground and run a detour. Perfect. This created openings for Tahana and me. While the spiders were busy being terrified of bones, we, two dark stalkers invisible in the shadows, hunted their supernatural fighters one by one. Shadow kill from behind. Throat slit. Move on. Repeat. 1 hour later, every supernatural spider in the vanguard was dead. 300 spiders retreated in complete chaos, stumbling back into the main formation. The spider mother was not pleased. Useless. All of you. Scared of exploding skeletons? You couldn't even make it out of the forest. She stomped the ground so hard she left craters. Everyone charges. No formations. No tactics. Just crush them. Exactly what I wanted. Tahana looked at me as we slipped back toward Golden Domain. My lord, we destroyed the vanguard, but their main army is untouched. Did this actually accomplish anything? I smiled. We weren't trying to beat the vanguard. We were trying to make the spider mother angry. The forest is her home turf. Webs everywhere. Perfect ambush terrain. If she fights us in there, we lose. But if she's furious enough to charge out into open ground, I gestured toward Golden Domain. That's where my catapults are. Tahana's ears twitched with understanding. You wanted her to come to us. Harold's giant form can't even fit between the trees in there. Out here, he's a wrecking ball. Back in the forest, the spider mother grabbed a skeleton and screamed at her troops. This is what scared you? These. Most of them don't even explode. My children ran from sticks and bones. She put the cowards at the front of the formation. You run forward, or I eat you. Move. 1,000 spiders surged toward the forest edge. Dawn broke over Golden Domain. Golden sunlight poured through the clouds onto my defensive line. Behind wooden barricades, 20 goblins and rabbits crouched with steam handguns. Behind them, 11 catapults loaded and ready. And at the very front me, standing in the open, purple hair catching the morning light, looking calm as a summer day. The ground started shaking. Black spiders erupted from the tree line. Hundreds, then thousands, a living black wave flooding across the open ground toward us. My people started trembling, hands shaking on gun handles, eyes wide with terror. Don't be afraid, I said, my voice steady as stone. I'm standing right here in front of you. If you're scared, just look at my back. The trembling stopped. Every eye locked onto me. The spider wave reached 100 meters. I dropped my hand. Fire. 20 guns opened up in rotating volleys. The front rank of spiders disintegrated. Even a black iron spider woman took a bullet through the brain before she could blink. The charge stalled. Spiders who'd never seen firearms froze in confusion. What was killing them? Where was it coming from? Agnes, hiding in the shadows, recognized the weapons, steam technology. The humans have military-grade ranged weapons, but, she noted, they need ammunition. They can't keep this up. The spider mother burst from the forest and roared. Don't stop. Their bullets are limited. Charge or die. Under her silver rank pressure, the spiders went berserk. Wave after wave, climbing over their own dead, pushing forward through the gunfire. They were getting close. Too close. Almost at the barricades. Catapults, I yelled. Behind the lines, rabbit folk loaded black spheres into the catapults. Each one packed with a much bigger dose of art is explosion than the skeleton bombs. Pull. Launch. 11 black balls arced through the morning sky and crashed into the spider formation. Boom, 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 boom. The explosions were massive. Each one cleared a circle of spiders like an eraser on a chalkboard. A single volley, over 100 spiders dead. Keep firing. The rabbits reloaded. But some spiders had already broken through the blast zone and reached the barricades. Shing. Harold drew his sword and charged. Gordon and Blake followed. 3 bronze-rank knights carved through the breakthrough spiders like hot knives through butter. Every swing killed. Every step forward left spider corpses behind. The spider mother watched from the tree line, and, instead of panicking, she smiled. So that's everything he's got. My bronze children. Kill those knights. 11 bronze-rank spider women launched from the formation, dodging catapult zones with terrifying agility, heading straight for my 3 knights. Agnes deliberately hung back. Smart girl. Let the others test the waters first. I gave Blake the nod. He'd been waiting for this. Blake charged forward. White steam erupted from his body. A massive pale figure materialized through the fog, the Warhammer giant. 7 meters of destruction wielding a hammer the size of a car. Wham! 1 bronze spider woman, flat as a pancake. Literally could not identify the remains. AHHHHH, Blake roared through the giant, and it was not a battle cry of fear. The man was having the time of his life. Every swing of that Warhammer was pure, unbridled joy. He'd been waiting weeks to do this. All those days of flattening dirt and moving rocks for construction? Practice swings. This was what the Warhammer giant was built for. The remaining spider women skidded to a halt, staring up at a 7-meter pale giant with a hammer dripping green spider blood. Their charge had just hit a very, very big wall. Blake was having the time of his life. The Warhammer giant swung left. 20 spiders turned into paste. Swung right. 30 more became modern art on the grass. The weapon was basically a car-sized fly swatter, and Blake was using it like a kid who just discovered bubble wrap. The spiders tried everything. Claws. Bounced off. Poison spit. Slid right off the giant's skin. Desperate screaming? Didn't help either. The size difference was just too absurd. These spiders were trying to fight something that could step on them. It was like ants attacking a boot. Agnes watched from the tree line, all 8 eyes wide with disbelief. Are those humans with giant bloodlines? Since when do humans turn into giants? Good question, Agnes. Since I started handing out magical fruits like Halloween candy. That's when. Then Gordon cracked his neck, looked at the retreating bronze spider women, and grinned. Can't let the kid have all the fun. I gave him the nod. Steam erupted. Gordon's body expanded into the 6-meter jaw giant, smaller than Blake's Warhammer, but fast. And its face was basically a mouth.